Hey, this is Jesse.
That was the first beer opening.
Hell yeah. How you doing? This is Necro Butcher, right?
Yep, well, you can call me, whatever. You can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner.
For sure. Okay, cool. I mean, are you sure? Is it like Dylan all right, or is it like you do?
I mean, in the today's world of the internet, you know what I'm saying? I don't think you're going to ruin it for anybody. You know what I'm saying? I think anybody that has access to, your content you put out by way of the same device they're viewing your content on, they can also easily research anything about anything about me.
Right. No, for sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. That's true. All right. I mean, in some ways, I feel like it's always keep it formal. I do like it's always. I'm so used to talking when I talk to people.
However you want to do it is fine with me, dude. However you want to do it.
Hell yeah. Okay. Dig it and everything. So yeah, how's it going? How you doing?
Enjoying this is like my weekend.
Cool.
My days off are always the same. I'm always off on Wednesday and Thursday, and then hit it hard again Friday. Friday's my Monday. So, some people would have a bad day at work. They have a case of the Mondays. I have a case of the Fridays. I'm enjoying my last few moments of freedom. Finished up with the gym, and now I have a nice, tasty 12-pack of Modelo to enjoy. No Angels game tonight. Usually I get to listen to the Angels break my heart. They broke my heart like the past 5 nights in a row. They've lost like 5 in a row, maybe 6 in a row. I don't know. So I can go without listening to them squander another game tonight. Then we'll be back at it tomorrow.
Okay, for sure. That's like your favorite team, right? Was that be your favorite sports team?
Yeah, yep, indeed. For a long time I was a fan of the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't real happy with the direction the team was taking. And you can't really say I'm jumping on the Angels bandwagon because last year they were the worst damn team besides the White Sox, in the American League. But I just looked at all the things I was mad about the Cardinals, and the Angels were doing. Granted, the Angels were losing, but the Angels were doing the things that I wanted the Cardinals to do, as far as running an organization and managing the game itself. And during this conversion process, I was laying in a Japanese hospital bed, far away from. It was a whole other island, from Tokyo or Osaka or any place where I knew anyone. So, I wasn't even speaking English for a whole month. Luckily, I had a tablet that had a translator on it.
Wow.
My only English communication was via an app on the tablet for a month. So, I had a busted hip, so I couldn't really move. So I was laying in bed all the time. Laying in bed for a month will change your perspective on just about anything if you think about it long enough.
No, definitely. Like, do you feel like you've recovered from it now? Are you still feeling like aches and everything from all that?
Well, it's really funny. The term, if I didn't. I go to the VA. The VA takes great care of me. Like I don't, I hear people complain and carry on about the VA doing bad, but the VA treats me great. But if it weren't for me having a copy of the X-rays, you wouldn't even know that was me anymore.
Wow.
It's ridiculous because there was a acetabular fracture on the right side, and there was pieces of bones that were loose and all this just floating around and stuff, and somehow, some way, I guess the same way I beat stage 3 cancer, somehow, some way, the bones just went back and you can't even tell.
Wow.
There's a little bit of discomfort on my left side just because it knocked everything out of whack. You know what I'm saying? And I stand up all day at work.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help. But as far as my right hip, I have no issues whatsoever with it. That's receiving no treatment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ambulance took me to a hospital in Japan. Then the first hospital was freaking out, and they said, "Oh my God, you need surgery. We can't do this here." So they took me to another hospital, bigger hospital, and the bigger hospital. Japan has free healthcare, but it's for the Japanese.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They wanted 3 phone numbers of people in America who were going to help me pay for this surgery and all that.
Wow.
That wasn't, it was over $100,000. I got friends I could borrow, $100 if I needed to, but I don't have friends I can borrow $100,000 from.
Totally.
So they just, they put me in like a corner room with there were 3 other dudes were in my room, and they put me in a corner, and they pulled a curtain around the corner, you know what I'm saying? So I was isolated there, and they fed me 3 times a day, and they gave me, I think it was aspirin.
Wow.
It's like a common pain pill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they gave me aspirin and the sleeping pills.
Dang. And so were they...
And that was months. And I laid in that bed. I laid in that bed for months without being able to communicate with anyone. Just taking aspirin and sleeping pills for a month.
Jeez.
And then when the bones set enough for me to get in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I could get, as soon as I was able to get in a wheelchair, they flew me home, and that was that. That was the last time I've been in Japan. That was, I don't know what day I came back, but I know I got hurt on April 19th. So that was about a year ago, and that was the last time I was in Japan.
Wow. So they didn't rush, there wasn't like a rush, I guess, because you weren't part of, under their health care or whatever. They weren't trying to push you out the door, essentially. They were still taking care of you, within the limits, I guess.
Yeah, bare minimum, just enough to get me in the wheelchair and get me out of the country.
Wow.
It was crazy. They were freaking out at the first hospital, like, oh my God. The first hospital, which I had my first I'm aware of anyway, it was pain-killing suppository. They gave me that the first time. So they did that at the first hospital, and they were really freaking out. We got to take you to a bigger hospital. And the bigger hospital was like, wait a minute, how are you paying for this? We're not doing this.
Wow.
Here's the thing. See you in a month.
Jeez.
So 0 out of 5 stars, would not recommend.
Dang, that's unfortunate, but it is good that you're doing better, that much is at least.
Well, as a man, you have to realize no one's coming to save you.
Right.
It might be a little different if you're a woman, so you can find somebody to do whatever you need to do,
Mm-hmm.
But for a man, the only person that's going to save you is that future version of yourself that's sick and tired of the way you're living and wants to make a difference, wants to change things.
Yeah.
That was that. Then I came back and maybe I was going to the VA back here in Amarillo, and I was following up with my doctor, and they said, well, the reason you broke your hip is because you need a new knee.
Really?
I had total knee replacement maybe 3 months after I got back in the States, and then the physical therapy process had me going to the gym. And I just kept going to the gym. I went today.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the gym 6 days a week. Wednesday is my rest day. I don't even do any push-ups on Wednesday. I don't do nothing on Wednesday.
Wow, that's...
I feel better than I ever have in my life. My entire life, I feel great. I feel strong. I got new muscles peeking out of the fat rolls. I'm feeling good.
That's far out. That's far out. Man, so it's like, so your the knee, are they doing anything about your knees, or is that?
Well, I don't have no issues with my right knee. No issues, like with the broken hip.
Mm-hmm.
Other than a gnarly scar, it's about 19 or 20 inches right down the middle of my knee.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know it was any different.
Right.
I have some issues with my left ankle. I mean, we're treating that and trying some different options with that, but no issues with the right knee, no issues with the right hip, no issues with the cancer. So all the major stuff appears to have corrected itself, and we're just dealing with some minor stuff.
Sweet, that's good to hear. That's good. Like, did BJW? Did they help out at all? Like, because it happened there, right? I figured.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess technically they could have. And people say, like, because I had a work visa, people say, well, you had to be. Now, this ain't happening talking over there. There's other people I'm talking to. So you had a work visa. BJW should have covered that. But then I thought about it. I'm like, what would that even have done? I mean, they don't have, $125,000 to throw down on some surgery, and
right.
what would that do to the company?
Mm-hmm.
Would they short people in pay? Would they not bring Americans back because of that, or you know what I'm saying? I wasn't even trying to go that route. I mean, they had that GoFundMe thing that Jasmine Sinclair set up.
Yeah.
And I gave them half of that money to offset the costs. But let's be honest, I'm moving back. The GoFundMe thing was like $12,000, and I gave BTW 6 of it. But let's be honest. I mean, I needed a wheelchair. I needed a shower chair. I needed a bed. I needed to start a new life, because at the time I was living in Pennsylvania. Living in an apartment by myself on the second floor, with no one really around except for my neighbors. So I needed to go somewhere where I knew people could help me take care of everyday life and get me back on my feet, and that's where I am now.
Wow. Yeah. Are you at a VA type facility, or is it like something similar to that, or?
I just go for. I mean, I was there the only time I ever had to stay all night there was when they did my knee.
Okay. Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, they have a transportation service. So they send a van to come pick me up and take me to my appointment, and I think maybe a little, like 2.5 weeks I was in there for the knee. But other than that, I don't go back. I think I go back maybe the first week of June. I have a couple different appointments for different things. But they treat me great, man. Never all the reasons that I had for not going to the hospital earlier in my life have been erased by the great care. You know what I'm saying? Because, even the knee, I needed the knee for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I went to the hospital in Pennsylvania, and congratulations, nothing's broken. You can go back to work. I don't think you can understand. I can barely walk. I don't, and the first time I walked into the VA, oh my God, you need a new knee. I broke my hip. I'm here to get my hip looked at. Yes, but you broke your hip because you can't stand up because you have no balance because you need a new knee.
Wow.
All right, well, good. So, maybe about a month after I checked into the VA, they were scheduling me for surgery, and that was no complaints, man. They treat me great down there.
That's really good and everything. Do you know what the spot was? Because I haven't seen.
You're not going to. I told them. It was just a backdrop on the floor.
Okay.
Something I've done 1,000 times, which is dumb. But just like with anything else in wrestling, everything you do could be it.
Right.
That could be it forever, and you just never know. And you do something that's kind of risky, and you just keep getting away with it. And then one day you don't get away with it.
Right.
I don't. That's retired now. No more backdrops on the floor. That's body slam on the floor, okay. Suplex on the floor, okay. But no backdrop. That one's retired.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's probably for the best. Probably for
Well, there ain't too many guys in their 50s taking bumps on the floor anyway, so.
Yeah, I guess since we're on the topic and everything, like with Japan, the GoFundMe, all that stuff, it's like Homeless Jimmy, I feel like, kind of came out and said a bunch of things, like...
and the thing of it is, like, I wasn't even seeing this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get into all that drama on the internet, but the funny thing was, he was talking to Jasmine about me blowing all this money, but I never had the money. Jasmine had all the money the whole time, and I would say, hey, look, I need this wheelchair, and she's in the wheelchair. Hey, look, I need a bed. She's in the bed. Like, there was never a time. So I found out that he was saying all that nonsense by her telling me and sending me screenshots.
Yeah.
Like, hey, he's saying you blew this money. Like, well, that's kind of silly because you had the money. The whole thing was like, I don't know where that comes from. It wasn't like me and him had some kind of disagreement or a falling out, or there wasn't like an argument or a drunken shoving match, or like months later, like Jasmine just started sending me screenshots like Jimmy's telling people this and telling people that. I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from?
Wow.
So I was. Now I don't know. But I've been around for a little while. I think he was because other girls in the business have repeated some of the things he says.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe he was like trying to get a girl to feel sorry for him about how hard his life was up to me or something. I don't know.
Wow.
But I can't really point to an incident where I realized me and him were having issues at all until I heard about that stuff from her.
Wow.
But I mean, his claims were easily disproven because he was telling the person who had the money that I was paying the money that she had. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, she's smart about everything, but way smart about money.
Mm-hmm.
So from the get-go, it was my idea. I said, look, you keep it. I'll show you what I need. You give me what I need. It was never like, hey, I need $500. Hey, I need it was never, I need $200 to go to the bar with. There was never nothing. It was all items.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It was like easily proven. You could easily prove where it all went. And like I said, $6,000 of it went back to PJW. That was half right there.
Right.
So throw in a wheelchair, throw in a bed, throw in a very cheap TV, not even $100.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it didn't go as far as everybody thinks it did,
Right. Yeah, no, it was, for sure, it was like, it's like, I saw what you had posted about it afterwards. The whole thing in general just seemed out of place. It was like, where did, why now? Why Homeless Jimmy, of all people, I guess, like, to be upset. I figured, out of, all the vets and everything that, you guys both worked in XPW together, and, probably have a long history, so it's just where is this coming from, pretty much,
The closest you might have gotten to wasting money was I bought a washer and dryer for a house that he was staying in. He was living there.
Wow.
Should I go back and take back the washer and dryer? They did need a dryer. They did. And I was living there too. We were all living together. And then I had an incident with the guy who was the main, the guy with the name of lease. I had an issue with him, and I moved out. And I talked to him before I moved out. I said, look, man, I can't stay here with this guy, like, wanting all my money, screaming at me. At this point, I'm still in a wheelchair.
Right.
You know, and the guy who we were living with was, we had gotten a physical altercation once, in fact. And the physical altercation was what led me to make comeback matches.
Wow.
I whipped this guy's ass. And I thought, wait a minute, if I can whip a guy's ass in a fight with one leg, maybe I can trick my way through a wrestling match or two and get a couple paydays. You know. After the fight, the guy said he was sorry, which you could talk to the hardcore hillbilly about the fight.
Wow.
If he had to come there, everybody had to come pull me off this guy.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I can't stay here. That happened once, right? Who cares who said they were sorry? If this happens to me again, it's my fault for staying here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I moved out, and that was the last time I talked to homeless Jimmy until all that stuff about me doing this and me doing that. And then, there's still people that believe that just because they hate me so much. You know, you can easily prove it didn't happen, but people just believe what they want to believe, and that's okay with me, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's what you've explained, seems to add up, basically. So, it's like, who would know better, basically, where the money went,
The person that had the money.
Exactly.
He was telling the person who had the money the whole time.
Yeah.
About me pulling the money. So she can say, well, this guy's full of shit because I had the money. That's how I found out about it was her.
Right.
Jimmy telling everybody he blew all that money and we're doing drugs with kids. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you want some fucking broad to feel sorry for you, then go right ahead, dude. Just say whatever you want, who cares? I don't give a shit. I got enough real matters to worry about in my life. Somebody telling lies about me. Oh my God, this is the first time somebody ever lied about me on the internet. How am I going to handle this?
That's far out, because I feel like that's how you handle it, because I feel like in some ways that I was curious, like, how do you, like, because you get a fair amount, you have a fair amount of haters, basically. You have people who will screenshot your posts, basically post them somewhere else, and talk trash. How do you handle that, basically? Does it ever bother you either?
Well, people that have spent 5 seconds talking to me or being around me know exactly who I am. So someone that would judge me on some out of context thing I said, or not really understanding what I said in the first place, someone that would judge me on that, why, there's 8 billion people in the world, so someone that wants to judge me on something that isn't true, they're just doing me a favor, because that's not somebody I would need in my life anyway. There's 799 million and some other people. Or 799,000. What's a billion? 1,000 million?
Yeah, something like that. It's high up there.
Whatever the number is minus 1. That's that many more people I can focus on instead of that person.
Right.
It's doing you a favor. When someone treats you dirty, there's plenty of other humans in the world that won't. So don't concern yourself with people that don't know what you're talking about or don't care what you're talking about and just want to be spiteful and hateful. Well, they're just doing you a favor.
No, I think that's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
You're not going to get everybody, they sent a perfect person to the world 2,000 years ago. Look what happened to him. Nobody's perfect.
Like, was that the hardest bump? That when that back body drop. Would you say that's the hardest bump you've ever taken in your career?
Well, I couldn't get up.
Yeah.
Other things have happened. It may have technically been worse or hurt more, but it took me like 5 minutes to get to my feet, and then I got to my feet. Now there's a match going on. There's a 6-man tag team match going on. Then I got to my feet, and I thought, okay, now what? now I can't move an inch. Now I'm just like a statue. I guess I'll just get back down on the floor and wait for this to be over and try to reevaluate. You know, that was, you know, and then like I said, you know, all the medical folks, you know, freaking out and all that kind of stuff. You know, they didn't know if I was ever going to walk without a cane again. You know, let alone come back and have matches and do things I've done since then. These things are all in question. And I didn't, you know, they took me back to my room and I didn't know what to do. You know, I said, I crawled into the bathtub and I said, I'm just going to sit in a hot bath and see if anything gets better. And nothing did. And that night in the hotel, it was like there was no way I could lay that I wasn't in horrible agony. And you know, with these little devices we carry around in our pockets called phones, you know, you're laying, I'm looking on the internet. I'm like, I bet you I broke my fucking hip. You know? And then the next morning, I said, all right, things are not better. Because I waited at night. I wanted to see if I could do somehow, some way. Because it was halfway through the door. You know, I wanted to try to see if there's some way I could just get the pain under control or figure out some way to do anything with it. Like, it was impossible. And I said, all right, let's go to the hospital. So they took me, and that was that.
And how long were you there, like, in the hospital, like, that time in Japan?
At least a month.
Okay.
In the hospital with no one spoke English.
How would you pass the time? How'd you pass the time during that, you know?
Well, when it comes to Japan or any extended trip away from home, I'm a bit of a cheapskate, so I like to take my PlayStation. Yeah, it's like when all the other guys are going out, you know, I'll go to the convenience store, get a 6-pack of beer, get a couple sandwiches, and then I'll just sit in my room and drink beer and eat sandwiches and play video games. And then when I want to spend a bunch of money, I can, because I've been cheap. You know, so on the tours, when we're far away, in those far away towns where I don't know anybody, I would save virtually all my money. And then get back to Tokyo, where I have friends who can go places and go out. Like, hey, look, I'm buying. Here's money. I throw it away. Who cares? Throw it away because I can save it. You know, so I would just. Luckily, you know, granted, my PlayStation was on the bus. You know, so I talked to the office kids, the guys who the secretarial duties there from BJW, and I said, please bring my bag. So they brought my bag and. I got my PlayStation hooked up, and I just sit and play PlayStation. There was a way, because the really bad thing is, I broke my phone 3 days before I broke my hip. So I couldn't even tell anybody back home. You know, because the wrestling, they dropped me off the hospital, and they had to go to the next town.
Right.
You know, so there wasn't even nobody back home I could talk to tell them what was going on. But luckily, because I had my PlayStation, there's got to be a web browser on here. If I get a web browser, I can access my email. If I access my email, I can talk to somebody and tell them what the hell's going on. So, you know, I talked to Jasmine, and Jasmine sent me a tablet. Right away, sent me a tablet, and she did a great job, you know, talking to me every day, keep my spirits up, and if it wasn't, I don't want to think about where my life would be without her. That was definitely the best thing to come out of XPW. Now, some great things come out of XPW, don't get me wrong, but the greatest thing was my friendship with her, because I wouldn't want to embarrass her and tell you all the tremendously selfless and beautiful things she's done for me, and never, ever, ever asked for anything in return. So that's definitely the best thing to come out of XPW was my friendship with her.
That's really sweet and everything, because I feel like, you know, it's like you guys definitely have like good chemistry with, you know, you working together, and definitely seems like, you know, behind the scenes as well, you know, with helping each other out.
just great chemistry, great chemistry, and all of it was random. I was filling in for somebody, and I was doing a match with Slack out there in LA. Pardon me. And they were doing an angle where Jasmine was involved with his valet. There was like a girl angle, and I just happened to be the guy in that match. It wasn't nothing about me. And since I was just filling in for someone, Rob liked the match, and I said, "Hey, well, what do you got for me coming up down the road?" And he said, "Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't have anything. You were just filling in for somebody." And I said, "Well, I really liked working with Jasmine because it's easy. I'd had like female managers, like for one-offs. Mm-hmm. Like here and there, I have a girl as a manager. I never really, but in LA, it just worked real good. I could just, I can catch a breather while the crowd's interacting with her. They're not looking at me, catching my breath. I can throw the guy out of the ring and she whips on a little bit when I'm catching my breath. I'm like, well, let me keep doing this. Let me keep working with her. And when something comes up, put us together. Mm-hmm. And he said, great, okay, fine, let's do it. And then we started doing that, and then just off to the races.
So when did like, because I think if that was the LA show versus Schlack, where everybody threw the chairs in the ring. Yeah, I was at that show. That was a great show. And
that was where me and Jasmine worked together for the first time.
That's incredible. And and I think when going to that show, you were advertised. They advertised you as Necro Butcher for that show. I think it was maybe the next show following that, or maybe like 2 shows later, that then the MAGA Butcher character was created.
Well, because like I said, they didn't really have anything creatively for me. Mm-hmm. And it's happened to me in other companies I've worked with as well. When they don't have something for you, I'll say, well, how about this? Mm-hmm. And since they have nothing, they don't have a better, it's like they have a better idea, because they don't. So, well, how about this? Okay, sure, let's try it. Because they don't, like the heel turns and CZW and the Ring of Honor stuff with Prince Nana, that was just me saying, all right, guys, listen, you ain't got nothing, let's do this. So they were fine with it.
It seemed, it's like, if MAGA Butcher was supposed to be a heel character, it seemed like he became a face character, at least for XPW.
Well, hey, we won the election.
It's true.
On my side, baby. That's the thing. I mean, the folks on the internet might say one thing, but hey, where were you guys on election day?
Right.
There's according to according to the numbers, more people agree with me than agree with them. And the best heel doesn't view himself as a heel anyway. Mm-hmm. The best heel views himself as a babyface. Like, why are these people booing me? Why are they cheering for that other guy? The other guy's a jerk. I'm the true heel, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The best heels view themselves as a misunderstood hero.
Nope. That's so true. When did Hardcore Hillbilly come into the picture? Because then it was like, I think it was you, Jasmine, and then at some point,
again, this is me making stuff up as I go. They had that. I said, how about he wasn't doing much back. He wasn't doing much at all when I met him. And I said, how about if I have this fat dude in overalls? How about that? That's how I described him. He was never supposed to wrestle. It's a silly thing. All he was supposed to do was show up, put his overalls on, wave the flag. You know what I'm saying? But the really funny thing is, when we first started doing this gimmick, like, granted, he wasn't doing nothing. Now he's all over the goddamn country. But people were messaging him saying, you don't want to work with Necro, you don't want to work with Jasmine, coming. You're going to get canceled. No one's going to book you. And here we are, the complete opposite has happened.
Right.
And some of those same people who messaged him and told him not to work with me are now saying, hey, can I get in your stable somehow? Is there a role for me in this mega stable? How can I do it? You know, just the exact opposite of what everyone told him. This guy's flying to California, flying to Texas, flying here, flying there, and it just from being my fat little buddy, he laid the Trump flag. And then we were in the last time I was in Japan. Shadow WX bought a mask. He bought a mask, a rebel flag mask. Wow. And he wanted to come out and wave the flag. They wouldn't let him. He said, I'll do it in a mask. No one will know it's me. So, like, his company wouldn't let him do it. His company in Big Japan don't see eye to eye, so they weren't about to do it. But he was going to wear a mask and be the flag guy.
Wow. That would have been pretty epic.
It got shot down. That was his idea, not mine. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it, bro. And no, they weren't having it.
You know, you brought up video games earlier, and those. What game do you play? What's your go-to game then?
I never more than 2 or 3 at a time. I was on Fallout 76 for a few years, but then all my friends kept playing it. You know, and the wastelands can be pretty lonely, especially on Fallout 76. So I quit playing that a few years back. Now I'm just going back and forth with Fallout 4 and MLB 17. And you might say, hey, why are you playing MLB 17? Well, every year I buy the damn MLB game. Every year. 1 year, when I was living in Texas, I walked to goddamn GameStop to buy this thing on its release day at midnight. You know, I'm talking like 20 years of buying this MLB show game. And then the last one I paid for was MLB 19. That's the last one I paid for. But, like, if you're a member of PlayStation Plus, they give you 2 or 3 free games every month. So I paid $70-some for MLB 19 to download it on release day, and then maybe 2 months later, like before the All-Star break, you know, MLB 19 was a free game for PlayStation Plus. And I said, these motherfuckers will never get another dollar of mine. And MLB 17 was the last one I still had saved. I had deleted 18 to make room for 19, but I still had 17. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just play 17 forever, you know. And I mean, you know, that's before COVID, so it was the National League still has to DH. You know, all by this time, all my players are all made up guys. All the real players have retired, but yeah, I still play MLB 17, and once in a while I'll bust Skyrim out. But it's been a while since I played Skyrim. Right now, just MLB 17 and Fallout 4.
Nice. Yeah, like I totally know what you mean with the games. Is it's like, you know, they do the same even in the wrestling games. It's like they come out with one really good one, and then every upgrade they do after that, it's like it just doesn't really. It's not worth it, basically.
But more outfits. They change it, but more outfits or something like that. You know.
Exactly. You know that. Now, just remember what I was going to ask a few. You know, after the MAGA Butcher talk was like, are you back to Necro Butcher now? Is the MAGA Butcher character retired now because Trump's in office?
Well, if I'm somewhere with Jasmine, then we'll do that. It depends on where I'm at.
Okay.
It's not. I mean, everything is a different thing. You know, it depends on where we're at, what we're doing. If she's with me, if I'm by myself. You know, what does the show need? You know, does the show need does the show need a heel? Does the show need a baby face? What's the show need? It depends. Everything's an individual basis. You know, I'm not.
Right.
There's been no real decision, nor will there ever be, probably. There's been no decision made by me on that. It just depends on what the show is, what the show needs.
So does that mean that there's a chance then that Grandma Butcher could come back?
She's no longer with us.
Oh,
She is no longer with us. And I really regret not being able to see any of her matches. Sometimes I would be there, and like I'd step out for a minute or something, and they'd change the card around, and her match would be up, and I'd just get back in the building right where her match was over. It's a shame. I wish maybe even intergender tag team matches weren't really a thing back then, but I look back and I wish I could have done some stuff with her like that. But that's a circle of life, you know.
That's too bad. R.I.P. Grandma Butcher.
She was a fighter. She liked to drink, liked to fight, liked to hit people with a purse, you know. So she had her little run.
Oh, so what? How did you get the name Necro Butcher?
Well, this was when I started in wrestling. It was a very different world. You know, you certainly did not pick what your name was. Back then, you certainly did not even pick what moves you did. That's how much control, you know, the higher ups had on the younger guys. I was in the Army at the time, and so you know, the guys that ran the sportatorium at the time, they said, "Well, Dylan, you know, it's only natural for you to be a soldier. Well, you know, you're not going to tell them no." You know, so for the first few matches, I was Private Dylan Summers, who I really was in real life anyway. And I didn't really enjoy being in the Army, but, you know, I had a wife and 3 kids, and I needed to keep food on the table, and that's why I joined the Army in the first place, was because you know, the job market was just so wretched in West Virginia at the time. And, you know, I was talking to him. I was talking to my trainer, Black Bart. I was talking to him, and I said, look, you know, if something comes up, you know, like they were talking about trying to get with somebody to play a gay wrestler. And I was like, look, man, I'll do it. I'll be a ballerina, a clown, a pirate, a cowboy, like whatever you think of, I'll do it. And that was kind of out of line by me. Because you're not supposed to say anything like that. You just take what you're given and say, yes, sir. It was a different time back then. He says, oh, okay, give us a couple weeks, Dylan, and we'll think of something. So a couple weeks go by, I think, all right, man, I'm not going to have to be Private Dylan Summers anymore. I'm going to, whatever the hell they tell me, like a Shaolin monk or a gardener or whatever it is, man, I'm happy and I'm excited. Like, all right, Dylan, from now on, you are no longer Private Dylan Summers. Your new name is Private Dylan Sanders. You know, that was them telling me, hey, shut up, kid. You'll do what you're told and you'll like it. So then for a few more months, I was Private Dylan Sanders. And then the wrestling school at the sportatorium was on Saturday morning. And the weekly matches at the sportatorium were on Friday night. You know, so Saturday morning, you had a lot of the guys that just wrestled the night before would stay in town, you know, and some would come to the wrestling school, A, to like brown nose and help out, and B, just to beat up kids, which was me. So, like there was some Johnny Valentine had a ring in Fort Worth. I'm digressing, but you'll know where I'm going eventually.
Okay.
And Johnny Valentine used to rent his ring out to these high school kids. And they would pay him money, and his crew would come set the ring up. Now, there was no such thing as backyard wrestling back then. There was not even a term. And so the crew would set the ring up at the designated time, and then at the designated time, the crew would then come and collect the ring. Well, one time, Johnny Valentine took sick, and he got real sick, and he stayed real sick, so his guys never came back the ring, ever. So have a wrestling ring in your backyard. What are you gonna do? And that's so. They started out doing like their little things, and they'd book like NWA guys to come in and maybe do commentary, maybe do referee something, you know. The next thing you know, they're like booking wrestlers. And I read about this stuff on the internet, like the show before I contacted them. The opening match was the American Dragon against Spanky Kendrick. The American Dragon became, Daniel Bryan, and Spanky was, Brian Kendrick. It's like guys were coming there to wrestle in this fucking backyard, And they would sell tickets. They sold videotapes of their events. They had a sound system. I used to Jazz was there all the time. Red Dog and Jazz were there all the time. Like guys were there, and originally I was just looking for ring time because I was wrestling like once every 2 or 3 months. I'd always get beat real quick. Maybe if the big move I would do would be like where they're pinning you and they pick you up on 2 and not pin you. Sometimes that'd be my offense. This guy picking me up. I was just trying to get ring time. So I contacted these guys and I said, look, I'm coming up there, driving up to Dallas every weekend, I'll do whatever you ask, anything you think of, I'll do. And it was their actual idea with face paint and all this stuff. I used to do all that stuff. And I just, as fate would have it, like, the local news station happened to come to the first show I was at this place.
Oh, wow.
So then the whole backyard wrestling thing was taken off, and it was on 2020 and all this stuff, and, the local NWA affiliate I was training, but they didn't know the fuck. I'm there, but they didn't know who I was. I'm there every week, they knew who I was. And they saw this guy on the TV doing this stuff in the backyard. Like, so all of a sudden, all this Necro Butcher guy, everyone's calling him, sending him emails, wanting him to come be on the show. And then, just about, ironically, about the same time, the phone stopped ringing for Private Dylan Sanders. Everyone wanted this Necro Butcher guy. It was never supposed to be anything. It was just supposed to be ring time. All in a backyard behind a high school kid's house. You dressed in their house. It was never supposed to be anything. And then the next thing I know, here we are, 30 years later. No one talks about Private Dylan Sanders.
That's so wild. I would have never guessed that. But so is there? Are you familiar with the musician Necro Butcher, like from the band Mayhem?
I wasn't at the time, but now I am. Yes. Okay. At the time, I said I would do whatever they asked.
Yeah. Okay.
So later on, I'm like, whoa. I read a couple books on the matter actually, but that was all after the fact.
Gotcha. Yeah, I always wondered because it was like that was definitely one of the things that seeing the old pictures with the face makeup, the name basically, it was just like, oh, this is metal. This is very metal.
I used to have a partner named Hellhammer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, back in that insane hardcore wrestling, it was called. Yeah.
So crazy. Yep.
But of course, everybody sticks around, so he didn't stick around too long, and then I am by myself. Yeah. At the time, no, but since then, yes.
That's far out. That's really nuts. Yeah, and then what point did you were you like, you know what, I don't need the face paint anymore, basically. Well, I was doing, I was working all over the place in Texas. Back then, the best place for money was Houston, because they had the biggest crowds. And the best place for exposure was Fort Worth because they had TV. I was
in Fort Worth and Houston, and my first wife left me over wrestling. And then, I got to having a mental crisis with the matter, and I thought, well, wait a minute. If this is why my wife left me, is this where it ends? Is this where I stop? Or do I just try to take it as far as I can? So I started trying to reach out to different places around the country. I was killing it in Texas. I was trying to reach out to different places in the country, and so I started working other places. But I was always in like the first, second match, always going down. And then the first place outside of Texas that gave me any kind of push was in Detroit. And the company in Detroit, ICP would wrestle. ICP were fucking wrestlers at this place. So, of course, they're wearing face paint, and all their fans are wearing face paint. And as I was offered a main event position as a heel to fight ICP, so it wouldn't really make a lot of sense if I'm wearing face paint, I'm fighting a guy who's also wearing face paint, and their crowd is wearing face paint.
Right.
So the promoter was a guy named A.T. Huck, and he explained it to me. He's like, look, I got a main event spot for you, which, like I said, I was a job guy, so I'm doing, I would just shave my legs if they would ask me to. I don't whatever they asked. How about you quit wearing the paint and grow your hair out? You got it, whatever you want done. I was just trying to go from the opening match status to main event status. Like I said, I would have done whatever they asked. I'll quit wearing paint. I can end this 20-minute process before the match. Sure, I'll do that. But it was just, it's like I said, just sometimes just ride the waves. That's where life took me, and that's life took position to not wear the paint, to be in a main event spot in Detroit. Yeah, sure, let's do it. I'm done with paint then. And that was that.
That's nuts. It's like, so was it riding the waves too that kind of got you to doing like the more ultra-violent stuff as well? Was somebody just kind of...
100%. Yeah, I was, the places I was working, that was the main event. And if you're an undercard guy, you want to be in the main event. Not just for the prestige, but also for the money. And if that's the main event, okay, this is where I'm at. I'm not here just for this. I want to be the top guy here. Whether you are or whether you're not is irrelevant. You want to be the top guy, or you shouldn't be there.
Right.
So that's what the main event guys were doing. And then, like, there was some kind of deal where Madman Pondo got more money to go to Japan. So he was advertised for a big match, but he went to Japan for the money, and they were scrambling for a guy. I'm like, hey, right here, I'll do it. Whatever it is, I'll do it. My hand is raised. You gotta be that guy whose hand's always up. Don't look around for other people to raise their hand. When they want something, you raise your hand and you do it. So that's what I did, and like I said, we're off to the races. They weren't conscious decisions on my part. It wasn't no sit down and think about it. There was, here we are. This is what they want. I want to be in the main event, so I'll do whatever it takes to be in the main event.
That makes sense. Yeah. And then when you went to Japan, one of the matches, cause you had a lot of great matches out there, but one match that stands out to me is like when you went up against Minowa Man. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, that was. I'd been going to Japan for a while at that point.
Yeah.
I was doing real good over there. And that was for Antonio Inoki and his family made like this shoot fighting company. And I know some of these guys, like in WWE and AEW nowadays, they get paid real good. At the time, I was not getting paid nowhere real good, and joke, he offered me a contract originally. They sent me a contract in the mail and all this stuff. And I'm looking at it, and they said, well, we want you to be exclusive in Japan with us. And, I had kids to take care of. I'm trying to pay the bills, and I was going to Japan 5 or 6 times a year. Well, I don't know if I want to be exclusive with anybody in Japan. And then I got down to the dollar amount. And the dollar amount was $2,400 a night, all expenses paid. So I said, I think for $2,400 a night, I think I will sign an exclusive contract. And they told me, oh, okay. And then, they put me in the ring against some real tough bastards, man. But at the time, I'm used to, I'm used to guys swinging aluminum baseball bats at my head for $40.
Right.
And I got kids to take care of. You're going to slap me as hard as you can. Oh, you're going to try to choke me out. Oh, you're going to try to put me in an arm bar, and you're paying me how much? All right, come on, bring it on. Let's do it. Give me that $2,400 a night. So that was one of the, I got in the ring with some real bad dudes, man. It was, but like I said, I went 2 years without winning any of them matches. But I was laughing all the way to the bank. I had a 2-year losing streak. But every night, ching, 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 and when you got kids to take care of, man, no one. That's the last guy you want to fight. Is somebody taking care of his family. Because that guy will do whatever. So all these guys are trying to slap me. Oh, they're trying to kick me real hard. Oh no, $2,400. Oh no. I didn't give a shit. I realize that's peanuts to some of the guys on top in the big companies now. But for me at the time, it was a tremendous raise in money, for me.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. That's like, admirable, way to look at it. What was it? You said you fought a lot of tough guys there. So who were some of, who's someone you can think about, like, where you had a tough match with them, where you're just like, how am I going to get out of this, when is this going to be over?
There was a lot of pretty serious, dangerous dudes, man. I think the guy that beat me up the most was Sylvester Terkay, the Predator. He was over there.
Mm-hmm.
Man, like, everything that guy did just killed you. I remember once we were fighting on the floor, and he hit me with a chair in the head. And I took a bump, to protect myself, to not stand there and take it. And I took a bump, and I was laying there on the floor, and I thought, wow, that's the lightest thing that guy's ever done to me, is hit me in the head with a chair. And, like, before I could finish that thought, he put the chair on my chest and double stomped me on the floor.
Wow.
Murdered me. I think, man, that was the lightest thing that guy's ever done. Ah! But the thing about them shooting fights is, there's rules, so thank God for the ropes. Like, them guys that put me in them crazy holes and shit. And even when I was an amateur wrestler, my coach would call that the oasis. Like, if you crawl out of the circle, they gotta let go of you.
Right.
Oasis, 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 the coach would scream. That meant crawl your ass to the outside of that circle to get them to let go of you. So they put me in these crazy arm bars or leg locks and shit, and I just try my best to get the fucking ropes. And to get to the ropes, they have to let go of you. So I could do that, and I'm tough enough to swing with anybody, and if I could combine enough of the showmanship element that professional wrestling needs, combine that with, like, the street fighting, and every guy fucking beat me, big deal. But I did just a good enough job to keep the job,
Mm-hmm. No, for sure, and everything, I mean, it's paid the bills, and it's also, it's like, you got a lot out of it, I think, too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had 2 of my kids' birth announcements in the Tokyo News, not some wrestling magazine. I'm talking about the goddamn Tokyo newspaper. My kids' little baby pictures were in there. You know, once they even sent Weekly Pro Wrestling sent a guy to my house in Pennsylvania to like film me, like playing with the kids and stuff like that. Because they were the point of the article was to show everybody what I was doing with my money. I'm not even making this up. So like the Weekly Pro Wrestling had 2 or 3 pages in the damn magazine of me like playing with Yo Gabba Gabba toys with my babies and stuff like that, and just goofing off. You know, it was a great time, man. It was a great time. Not just in the ring, but out. You know, because my kids were little. You know, that's the best time.
Where they could talk back, right?
Well, when they're one stuff. Little kids are happy with the box. Here's a box. Here's a styrofoam cup. Here's my shoe. Well, whatever.
Right. No, for sure.
You don't need stuff like teenagers do.
Yeah. No, for reals. It's a lot, very materialistic, you know. Yeah. Sweet. Let's see. Is there any? So are there? You know, so you fought so many, you know, iconic people, like past, you know, in the past, even this, you know, resurgence too. When you come back, you fought probably all the top guys. I would say, you know, most people consider the top guys. Is there anybody that you haven't had a match with that you look at now and you know?
I don't know.
That's someone who I want to have a fight with.
I don't really watch current wrestling.
Yeah.
So like, unless they were on a show that I was on, you know, so I probably wouldn't know who they were.
Right.
But I mean, I'm always, you know, when you get older, you see the window slowly closing of your time to do anything, and I'm always looking for a good match. You know, always. That's 90% of why I say yes or no to things. Who's my opponent? You know, give me a good opponent. Is there any way I can take a brief intermission? Maybe 5 minutes tops.
Right now? Yeah.
I just finished off my 4th beer.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's
5 minutes.
Yeah. I'll stay on.
I'd be a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, no, don't sweat it. Yeah.
I get less than 3 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, partner.
I'll be here. Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, do I feel better.
Sweet. You know, glad we were able to facilitate that.
It also caused it, if you think about it.
Yeah, no, for reals.
This is page number 4.
Sweet.
Well, see, the thing it is, when I get to talking, I get real thirsty.
As I've seen, you know, I watched the Scotland interview with Bleeding Gums.
As horrible as I remember it.
No, it actually was. It was pretty good. It was really informative, and you know,
do you feel like your money's worth?
What was that?
How much did they charge you guys to watch that?
Charge? Oh, you know, I saw they put it up on what is it, IWTV? So I guess just like $10 a month, pretty much.
What's the subscription to IWTV? You got to watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad. I was thinking maybe they charge people just to click on it. I don't know how IWTV works.
Yeah, no, it's like it's pretty chill like that. It's just like $10, and you know, you get anybody who's on it, you get to check them out. Yeah, I was wondering in some ways. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't sure how much they charge for tickets for the event itself. You know, but I definitely assume it was a couple pounds. You know.
I don't remember too much about it. I just remember drinking and talking shit for a couple hours.
What was it? Nah, it's like I think you were good. Basically, I think to some degree that's like those are the type of things that some people could see and maybe see the different side of you. Maybe they think they might picture you one way from seeing the MAGA Butcher character, or seeing your character in the ring, or in hearing what people say outside if they talk trash or something. But I definitely feel like seeing you there, seeing you with Mickey and Jasmine, definitely showed like a different version of
well, those are two of my best friends in the world.
Yeah.
I don't want to harken back to the days of MySpace when you ranked your friends. Those two would definitely be top five. I don't know who's where, what. If those two even had MySpace, I don't know if they did or not. But those would definitely be two of my top five friends. In real life, with MySpace.
Right, it's like, no, totally. That makes sense and everything. Yeah, what was it? Let me try to look through what I have written down here. Let's see. Let's go with favorite. Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite deathmatch weapon?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It just depends on. Here's the thing about deathmatch weapons.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose. Okay. Let's like all you fans bring the weapons as an example. The fans will make these intricate and detailed and sometimes quite dangerous items.
Mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of these dangerous items? I'm asking you this.
Oh, for me?
What is the purpose of these weapons?
To me, it's just like the shock value, basically. You just see it and you're just like, whoa.
Okay. Right, you're close. The purpose of these crazy weapons in the Fans Arena Weapons match, it's not for the wrestlers to figure out what can they do with them. The purpose of those weapons is to lay there and look cool for pictures. That's what they're for. You're not supposed to get hurt. You damn sure aren't supposed to hurt the other guy.
Right.
The purpose is for people to take their pictures with this weird shit looking laying around the goddamn ring. If you pick it up, sure, take a picture. But the point is not to get hurt, or hurt the other guy. Your point is to wrestle again tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And look at all these. Look at all these injuries that happen. Every weekend, somebody's getting laid the fuck out.
Yeah.
Stitches, ambulance. Where back in my day, once a year, it'd be a big fucking deal if somebody got hurt. Oh my God, so and so got hurt. Now these guys are just fucking each other up every weekend, and no one even cares.
That makes me think in some ways that's kind of your take to some degree on the modern deathmatch scene in a way. It's just a lot of going, because that's what people will say. It's going from spot to spot. It's about just
you can teach two monkeys how to wrestle, and you can teach the monkeys how to do these moves to each other. But what the monkeys won't do is make it make sense and tell a story that you can get behind.
Mm-hmm.
Is so and so in trouble? Is so and so going to lose here? So when you just back and forth. If you don't tell the crowd you're in trouble, they're not going to believe you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
The rapid swings, momentum. This guy's on top, that guy's on top. This guy's on top, that guy's on top. You don't give the crowd time to get emotionally invested in what you're doing as a whole. You're just going from one move to the next. And that's, I guess, YouTube and Facebook have these little short videos. If you're trying to do that, well then fine. but I was never trying to do that. I always tell people I'm not a TV wrestler, I'm a house show wrestler. Because I'm used to being surrounded by fans. Some may not be paying attention. Some may be drinking, some may be on their phones. But I'm trying to tell a story to every last one of them, and I'm trying to suck them all in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just going back and forth doing moves to each other, you're not sucking anybody in. Someone could look away from the match for 5 minutes and look back again and they'll be right on cue.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You have to keep them with you from beginning to end.
Yeah.
All these things have to mean something.
No, for sure. No, that's so true, and everything. I feel like being at the Schlock Necro Butcher match, like that to me was like one of the highlights for me as far as like storytelling, like within a match and everything. So the chairs, everybody throwing the chairs after Schlock was egging them on. I think in some ways I'm like, if I had to guess what your favorite deathmatch weapon would be, I would say it's either a pencil or a scaffolding.
Or the guardrails.
The guardrails, exactly. Sorry, not the scaffoldings. I meant the guardrails. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I mean either one. Sometimes for Japan, I'd buy like 2 packs of like 24 pencils. every night I'm using one. Sometimes 2. Sometimes I'll put a pencil in each boot. Because everybody knows what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't, you've had nightmares about it. Everybody's never been to school.
Yep.
Fears about falling on a pencil when you have a pencil in your pocket and running, or poking somebody with a pencil. Who the hell knows what a skewer feels like, or a Kinzon, or a gusset? Who the hell knows what that even is? But a pencil. Oh my God, that's a pencil. It's believable. Like ringing somebody's, like poking your finger in somebody's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We've all had something in our eyes. We all know what that feels like.
Yep.
How many of us have taken a Canadian destroyer? For the average man, get poked in the eye or get kicked in the nuts. Fuck, we've all done that. We all know what that feels like.
Yep.
You gotta tell your story to the lowest common denominator.
No, for reals, that's so true and everything. I could definitely, like, I've been stabbed with a pencil, or been close to being stabbed with the pencil. It's like, never had someone just bust out a Canadian destroyer, basically.
And it's not even the stabbing with the pencil, it's the implication of getting stabbed.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's scary.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it, oh, shit,
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah, let's see. I don't know if it's like how accurate this is, but there's like a site called Cage Match, and they'll put a bunch of your matches up there, and wins, losses, all that stuff. They've said that you've had like somewhere around 900 matches. Is that about right?
I'm not in a position to dispute that, but I would assume it's a lot more. I mean, what kind of, where were these guys when you're wrestling in front of 20 people in some little town? How many matches did you have before there was such a thing as the internet?
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell's keeping track? Oh, somebody kept track that night. Oh, nobody kept track this night. Who's to say? I don't know. I would assume it's more.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nothing I ever kept track of. So I wouldn't really know.
No, for sure. That makes sense. But yeah, no, I figured the same. It was like 900 is like a lot, super impressive, but also
That's what they can prove.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure if I were to glance at this page, I mean, if it's listed in any kind of order, like date-wise, I'm sure I can think about where I was at that time in my life. Easily think of multiple matches from that time frame. It's not something I've ever looked at, so I could be sure, but You can't tell me some of these little podunk towns I've wrestled in. You can't tell me anybody in the crowd was keeping track of who beat who and when or how or what, or even if they were even there. Who's to say?
Right. No, that's a good point, and like I did try looking, after the Bleeding Gums interview, you brought up how you took ownership of retiring Super Dragon. So I was like, I tried looking that up.
Drunk, I should have said that's not right for me.
Okay. All right.
It's historically accurate. He had a couple matches after that, but
Right, see, that's where I was trying to look it up through their site, basically trying to pinpoint when that was, because I listened to the story, and I definitely know Super Dragon has like a fair amount of matches like up there, and has a fair amount of matches that he's done and all that stuff that are recorded and everything. My friend of mine's a big fan of his too, so that's where I was like, you know what, there's got to be video footage of this, especially with if Ruckus was involved. Wasn't that the case?
It was one of you're talking about when the actual match was I had with him?
Well, yeah, I guess that's like, there's one I...
Battle of Los Angeles tournaments.
Okay, so was that the event where you basically, he gave him the heavy hands or whatever, and that's where he was done with, well...
It was a tournament, I knew that.
Okay.
It had to be Battle of Los Angeles.
Okay.
It had to be one of those.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, because I think that was the one that I was thinking it was. There's definitely, I know there's a video clip of it, but I wasn't...
It was very violent.
Yeah, that's that was a pretty wild one.
I think it might have been the first Battle of Los Angeles that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
I did a few of those. I think the first one was me versus him, I think.
Okay. Sweet.
The first one I appeared in. I can't tell you what year, no clue.
Right. I was assuming early 2000s, but I'm just guessing.
We only had that one match, so if you hear about one, that was it.
Yeah. Okay.
And we had some matches where we were partners and tag team matches before that.
That's what I was seeing. That came up. They had that on their site, so I was like, I don't remember these ones, but
yeah, a few of them.
Is that what set is? So that's what set it off. Essentially, at least that's what the Bleeding Gums interview had, was like that. He was messing with Ruckus essentially, and either in another match or backstage or something like that.
Oh yeah, it was across the country.
Okay.
One was on the East Coast, one was on the West Coast.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Looking up.
I'm guessing you're going over your list of questions you had prepared.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, right on.
Let's see. You drink a ton of beers, I feel like, for at the Bleeding Gums event. Like, what is the most amount of beers that you've ever kept track of?
Well, I'm pretty sure I've exceeded this, but I can't really prove it. The only number where we had a sober person keeping track, obviously was not me, but I've a friend of mine, Smokey C, does not drink. So it was my birthday one year, and he was just noticing how many beers I was drinking, because we were far away from the trash can. Each time the woman of the house would come to remove the beers, he would count them. And it was that night I drank 56 cans of beer. But I'm thinking there have been times where I drank more, but there was no one keeping track because it wasn't something I ever did. I never kept track of how many beers I drank. I drank till the beer was gone. You know what I'm saying? He's like, dude, you know how many beers you drank? I'm like, no fucking clue. Tell me. So you drink 56 beers. Like, okay, so right on. But it's not something I've ever kept track of. But it did stick with me that, when your friend tells you, hey, I kept track last night. Guess how many beers we drank? You know what I'm saying? That's, I just drink till the beer's gone. That's what I usually do.
Right.
I think I'm on number 6 now. You're number 6 of your 12-pack.
Okay, sick.
And we're, an hour and 20 minutes in the phone call, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah, totally. You let me know what's good, because I feel like that. I don't want to put I don't want to make it go longer than you want to. Basically.
No, you're fine for now. You're fine for now.
All right.
You're fine.
Cool. Just checking.
Get your shit in.
see, that's what I was waiting for. There we go. Any thoughts on hecklers? Basically, like, people?
They all pay to get in.
Yeah.
It does about that. It makes me lose respect for wrestlers, actually, that respond to them.
Interesting.
I was taught to never make your heat personal. If you want to tell somebody to shut up, you point at an empty chair. Because when you tell an empty chair to sit down and shut up, everybody in a 20-foot radius of that chair is going to think you're pointing at them, and they're all going to get mad. When you make your heat personal, now it's personal.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the best of some fan, right? You burn a fan with some kind of insult or something. Guess what? He might not come next time. Maybe you insult a guy in front of his woman. He might not come next time. He might not bring his kids next time. When you make it personal with them and you put the spotlight on them, now they have to respond. And you're just taking money out of your pocket by making your heat personal. I could care less what anybody in the crowd says. I'm not going to respond to anybody in the crowd. I could care less. I'm there to entertain all of them. And if someone doesn't like it, oh well.
Mm-hmm.
If someone says something idiotic, oh well. I have a job to do, and that's what's called professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Not amateur wrestling. No money in that. It's professional wrestling, and you don't make your heat personal. So let's say some guy, you put some guy down, or whatnot, or even verbally push him down. Now he's been embarrassed in front of his friends. He's been embarrassed in front of his woman. He's not going to come back next time. He's not going to bring his friends back. He's not bringing his kids back. You've lost money because you had to get the best of this man. Is that the way to conduct business?
Nope, doesn't seem like it.
The worst way to conduct business. Let them say whatever they want. Let them say whatever the fuck they want. Who cares? Doesn't fucking matter.
No, I like that. Yeah, that's I think that's.
Even if it's something inappropriate, let him embarrass himself. Who cares? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in ways, like, because I feel like I've never really come off as someone who responds to that at all, even.
I'm secure in my manhood. I don't need to prove it I'm secure in my debating skills.
Yeah.
I don't need to go out and trounce someone physically or verbally to gain affirmation of myself. Say whatever you want, man. Do whatever you want. You're not gonna bother me. Let's say you come to every show, you pay money and come to every show. And you want to say some ridiculous stuff to me, and I say some ridiculous stuff to you to make you look stupid. you don't come back no more. All I've done is damage the show. Right. Let's say other people come with you. All I've done is damage it. Boo me, cheer me, whatever you want to do. And if I act like you're getting under your skin, it's for the show, man. I could care less. Mm-hmm. And it makes me lose respect for people that attack a person. Who cares what that guy said? Who cares? Well, who cares what he said? Hang on, I gotta open number 6 here, hold on. We as humans, we're the dominant species on this planet. How do we attain our top status? With our mind. We can't fly. We can't swim underwater. We're not very long. We can't. We don't have claws. We don't have teeth. We can't run fast. It's our mind that's earned us the top status on the planet. So why should we let our mind betray us? Oh, this guy said this to you, blah, 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 blah. And you're supposed to get really upset and really mad because this guy said blah, 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 blah. Now, if someone says blue, 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 you have to be really upset and you gotta fight them, right? No, man, you're doing your ancestors a disservice. What if you didn't understand English? What if you didn't? Why would you get so mad? Who cares what noise another human makes at their throat hole? You're not going to upset me by making a noise at your throat hole, and you're just showing your own insecurities by responding to such.
No, for sure. That's a really profound way to think of it. Yeah. Now I feel like, since we're getting into philosophical.
No questions are off limits, buddy. No questions. You bought the beer. It's your time.
Can you define woke? What is woke?
What is a woman? Your hesitation.
Like you're asking me. Yeah.
Your hesitation defines what is woke. The fact that you took me so long to answer, that's woke. You answered your own question, buddy. The fact that it took you more than a fucking second.
It's funny because for sure you got me in that sense. Like that went over my head.
It's right. You can still grab it. It's right there. This is hanging right there. You can still grab it. It might move over your head, but you can just grab it. When they hesitate as to what is a woman, why that is woke, sir. That is woke. It's not who you are, it's what you're made of. Mm-hmm. Where woke is who you are. Your struggle does not define you. Mm-hmm.
No, I get it.
It's not the oppression Olympics. I'm more oppressed than you because of this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. We're all oppressed, man. Life sucks. Deal with it.
That's fair and everything, that's a good segue to the next question, which would be, have you ever felt like you've been persecuted for any,
I think very few of us have been persecuted, first of all. That's a very strong word.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that.
You're dragging me down the temple in chains. My accusers have rocks. Persecuted? Gee whiz. No, I can't say I felt persecuted. No.
Misunderstood. How about misunderstood?
But that's fine. Like I said earlier, man, how many people live on this planet?
Yeah.
And riddle me this, Batman. How stupid is the average human being? On a scale of 1 to 10, how stupid is the average human being? There's no wrong answer here. It's arbitrary. Just pick a number.
All right, 4. How about 4?
Okay, that's average.
Yeah.
That means half the people are dumber than that. So why would what's the sense in losing sleep over someone that can't read, someone that can't understand what you're talking about, someone who lacks the mental capacity to see where you're coming from? What's the sense in losing sleep because you can't convince them that they're wrong?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's none. There's none, So,
did you ever get in a screaming match in person, verbally, with someone, and they said, "Yeah, man, you're right. I'm sorry." So why would it happen online?
Yeah.
There's always always going to be people that don't like you, and there's always going to be people that do like you. So why waste your time on people that don't? Why would you waste any of your mental energy on people that don't like you for someone that they believe you to be? Why would you take away from the time from people who know who you are and love you? Who cares about those people? Fuck those people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're doing you a favor by showing you how they feel about you.
No, totally, and stuff. I'm glad. See, I feel like in some ways, like, yeah, I'm glad I asked these questions because these are. I feel like this is where I see how people, if they talk to you, they would get a different understanding of your viewpoints in some ways, you know. But
I mean, I could defend anything I've ever said, everything I've ever done. I can tell you why I thought it was right, or even the things that were wrong, and looking back I see where they're wrong, I can tell you where I went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the human existence. You know, we have a limited time on this earth, and we have limited exposure with various stimulants. You know, how you feel about something today is not how you feel about tomorrow, and how you feel about something yesterday is not how you feel about today. But if that's how you feel today, like in your position, I'm okay with doing that.
Yep.
And that's, you know, you mentioned a lot of people give me a hard time online. Well, my question to them is, what is it that I said, or what is it that I did? Often very far between. But what did I do, or what did I say that made you feel this way? Well, I heard this. Okay, stop. Well, someone said this. Okay, stop. I'm asking you, what did I say? What did I do? Not how somebody else interpreted it and told you. But even so, like I said, I'm not worried about it. I've had plenty of real things happening in my life.
Yeah.
Things that nobody even knows about, not just the stupid cancer and stupid injuries and whatnot. I've had real things happen to me in my life, man. Like, I'm not worried about, oh, someone said this on the internet, so what? Let them. It's a free country.
You know, the perfect, I feel like, follow-up question to this would be then, why is freedom of speech so important?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say, a lot of people don't understand what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom of speech doesn't mean you can say whatever you want and there'll be no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what it means. Freedom of speech means the government will make no laws against freedom of speech. And you can't, like, go on your neighbor, knock on your neighbor's door, and when he opens the door, you know, call him a cocksucking son of a bitch and all that. Oh, freedom of speech? That's not how it works. There's still consequences.
Yeah.
You know, it's the government will make no laws. So, you know, and look what's happening in Europe right now. You know, recently in the United Kingdom, they filed charges. Now, who's to say whether he's still get convicted or not? But they filed charges against a lady, a scientist, who said that you can determine the sex of an individual by looking at their bones. Like, they're not talking about people walking around right now. They're talking about people they dig up. You know what I'm saying? So they're saying that's hate speech. That's where freedom of speech comes in. It's not illegal to say these things, but you can't just, you know, call your neighbor a son of a bitch and classify it under freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
There's consequences, but it's not illegal. In Europe and other most Muslim countries, Christ, you can't even draw a picture of Allah.
Yeah.
Or Muhammad. You can't draw a picture of him. They blamed that goddamn Benghazi shit on a cartoon. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And we won't. And it sounds believable. Yeah, those Muslims are kind of intolerant. We believed it. Well, they're upset about a cartoon. That's ridiculous, but we believed it. That's. I don't know if I answered your question or not.
No, I think you answered it there. What is there anything good about cancel culture?
Well, say what you will about Harvey Weinstein, but he was doing his best to keep ugly women out of films. Look what we got now. It's a joke. There's all these, that Snow White broad is horrible, and The Last of Us, Bella Ramsey. This would never happen to Harvey Weinstein's watch, damn it. I keyed. The main thing about that nonsense is cancel culture is perpetuated by individuals that cannot compete. But it's like, okay, this guy is better than me at our skill we're competing at, but I'm a better person, and let me tell you why. Well, being a better person isn't what the job is. The job is the job. It should go by who's better at the job. Obviously, if you're accused of some sort of criminal activity, well, then you should be investigated and prosecuted. But the court of public opinion and the courts of the judicial system are far between reality. They're not the same thing. Mm-hmm. If someone says you're a nasty person on social media, well, okay, well, take this person to jail. That's where freedom of speech comes in. Did they do something illegal? Well, they did not. Well, I'm a better person, and let me tell you why. This person said this, and this person said that. How about you just get better at your job? How about we all do the best job we can? And cancel culture's dying out. It was at its peak a couple years ago. It's dying out now. No one wants to hear that nonsense. The people like the people that still engage in cancel culture. They're like those fucking Japanese soldiers, like years later on isolated islands when they don't know the war's over. Like there's one guy holding a bunker by himself, and it's like 1952. He's been there by himself for 12 years, doesn't know the war's over. It's the same thing.
No, for sure, I could see that. Yeah. That's where, one thing that I'm thinking about related to this is do you feel like some of the things you put online, it isolates your fan base, or do you think that those people aren't really your fan base, essentially?
At face value, I could see how you could make that connection, but then again, how many decent people are afraid to speak out about some of the horrible things going on in our world? Mm-hmm. And perhaps you see this guy who's overcome, I'm just going to go through the laundry list. I'll use the words this and that. You'll see this guy who's overcome this, overcome that, overcome this, overcome that, and my reputation in wrestling and in real life speaks for itself. And I did not get that reputation by bending the knee. Mm-hmm. Never can you say, well, he said this that wasn't true, and he kissed up to this person that wasn't. He did this just for himself. No, man, I kept it real. And if keeping it real upsets somebody, well, then they need to keep it real. I mean, you bought the 12-pack of beer, sir. You're going to get these answers. I don't bend the knee to nobody. I do whatever I want. I've had really horrible things happening to me in my life, and I've overcome them. Like somebody whining and crying because perhaps they're functionally illiterate and can't understand what I'm saying. This person didn't really understand what you're saying. Well, screw them. If they've asked me, I would have explained it. If they want to jump to conclusions. And again, this conversation's going great. I'm having no ill will towards you whatsoever. If you're saying, well, maybe, you shouldn't have said that, or you should have that, give me an example. Give me an example of something you believe. Give me an example of something you believe I should not have said or should not have done, and I'll tell you why I did it. I'm not just saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm right. Give me an example. We're having fun here, kid. Tell me what I've done. Tell me what I've said that was so controversial. That perhaps biological men should not compete in women's sports. How is that a crazy idea? That perhaps the state should not pay for sex change operations? Yeah, how's that controversial? That criminals should not get free sneakers whenever one of their own gets killed in the street. Is that controversial? Sometimes it escapes me when people say, well, you said this or you said that. I'm not following.
Right. No, I mean, it's...
Even if it's not, I'll give you the caveat. This isn't how I feel, but I've heard this. So you can use that caveat if you would like. What's something that I should not? What's something you've heard that I've said, or you've heard that I did, and I'll tell you whether I said it, or I did it, or I didn't, or I'll own it. I'll own it, or I'll deny it, and tell you how I deny it. Anyway, the forum is yours, good man.
Okay. It's like
You're not hurting my feelings. You're not hurting my feelings. We're just two guys talking on the fucking phone.
Sweet.
We're not going to come to blows.
Sweet, because I feel like that's what I was hoping for. That's part of the reason I wanted to do this call, because I was like, you know what, I feel like if you just talked to him, he could explain it. But the first one that comes to mind, I can't find it. I don't think I would find the post fast enough, but it would be do your best from memory, and I'll go in the blanks. Sweet. So you know what it was it's like, and this is gonna, part of me is like, I understand in some ways it's gonna sound kind of silly, but it's like Kevin Brennan from IWA, he shared something that I think was, if I'm trying to remember from memory, it's like equating Muslims to Nazis or something like that, basically.
The Muslims, here's the thing about Muslims. The radical Muslim, he wants to cut your head off. The tolerant Muslim, well, he wants the radical Muslim to cut your head off. And you're talking about, what about the whole marrying the goddamn 9-year-old shit? We're just gonna move past that? You know what I'm saying? There's a little bit of explaining to do there. Now, I'm not saying Christianity is perfect. Far from it. No religion is perfect. But, what Muslim country is doing well right now? What Muslim country would you like to visit? Please tell me a Muslim country that you would like to visit tomorrow. Does it come to mind? Which name a Muslim country where, and what are these Muslim countries? Look at what they do to women. Look what they do to gays. I'll make fun of gays, but I don't want to kill them. I'll make fun of women, but I don't want to kill them. Look at what goes on in some of these places. Facts are facts. You shouldn't have to worry about saying something to upset somebody, because, like I said, who cares what what noises somebody makes out of their throat, but I await your answer on telling me what Muslim country you would like to take your family to. Where are you going to take your wife and kids? What Muslim country are you taking your wife and kids on vacation to?
I hear Dubai is pretty nice this time of season.
Okay. I could see Dubai, but that's like the playground of the wealthy.
Yeah.
Put enough money anywhere in the world. And what the fuck is Dubai? Dubai is like a piece of Saudi Arabia that like some other sheiks. All right, this is our own place now. We're Dubai. That's just for oil. But what is the life like? What kind of everyday life do the average Dubai citizen have? What's the proper word for someone that lives in Dubai? Are they Dubaiis? Dubaian? What is that?
That's I wouldn't know, basically. I couldn't afford to go to Dubai if I wanted to, but
Dubai, ITE? Dubai-dite? But why would you want to, what I'm saying? Like, these places are horrible. And that's what happens when you have, that's why separation of church and state is so important.
Right.
Yeah, like when we left all those fucking weapons in Afghanistan, what's the first thing they did? The first thing they did, we left a bunch of Black Hawk helicopters over there because it was cheaper to leave them there than to bring them back. The first thing they did was fill the helicopters up with queers and drive them up and push them out. We did that. But that's how we're supposed to be tolerant of the most intolerant.
Mm-hmm.
They put it on YouTube of pushing all these homosexuals out of the helicopters. Oh yes, they're misunderstood. All these rapes in Europe. Well, they're very rapey people. You can't judge them for that. That's their culture. They're just very rapey. Oh, come on.
Yeah, I have not heard about that, so I will look into it.
There's other places getting ready besides TikTok. This week recently, for a long time now, they banned sales of guns in Australia, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you have a bunch of people, foreigners, killing people with machetes. They recently outlawed the sale of machetes in Australia. So what, hammers? We're going to ban the sale of hammers now? They're just going to figure out something else. These places these people come from are horrible. So why do we want to bring that here? If you want to go through the process, go through the process, fine. The process exists for a reason. It's a slap in the face to everybody that does immigration the right way. Like, no one is against immigration. We're against illegal immigration. Do it the right way. Who are you? Where are you from? As someone who's visited foreign countries, I behave myself because I'm representing my country when I'm there. I can't be like pissing on the street and shitting on the street and grabbing women's asses and doing all this nonsense. Not that I would anyway, but that's not. You represent your country when you travel. You can't. I don't know.
No, I get where you're coming from. I don't think that for me personally, don't think that like when people immigrate over here that's the norm basically. But I would also get like just like when we travel over to other countries and people who represent us get in a bunch of trouble, like they don't necessarily they shouldn't be they don't represent us, but like it's not the norm. I feel like so.
But you're on extra. I've been in numerous countries and I've never gotten in trouble, nor would I dream of it. Let alone, engage in some sort of protest against the government.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I do that in a foreign country?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I get that to I get that to a certain degree. It's like, I definitely can understand to some ways where you're coming from, especially as someone who served. It's like, you took an oath basically to protect the country in a way. So it's.
No. Yeah, but honestly, back then minimum wage was $4.25.
Yeah.
I had 3 kids. And $4.25 just wasn't cutting it. I never wanted to go to any of that stuff.
Right.
I didn't want to go play Rambo. I dicked around for about a year. Before I did it. And after about a year of not finding a job that would pay the bills, I just threw my hands up in the air and said, at the end of the day, as a man, these people are counting on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to, same thing with, fighting the shoot fighters for 2 years. As a man, these people at home are counting on me. I have to go do this. So it was a never.
Did you have to? I feel like it's an insensitive question, so that's why I'm trying to think of.
No questions are off limits. If there was a question off limits, I would have told you before.
Okay. Did you see active combat when you served? Basically.
I don't talk about that stuff with nobody.
Okay. That's why I prefaced it that way.
There was an incident in CCW where I beat up Joker for talking about it.
Yeah.
That's not nobody's business.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to you by no means.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I still talk to some of my friends that were in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
Some are still in.
Mm-hmm.
Some are still in.
Wow.
But I just don't, that was never nothing that's not why I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a wife and kids, man, and I was just trying to, granted you get tied up with other stuff when you're doing it, but I don't talk about none of that stuff with nobody, never.
Yeah, no, for sure.
If I do, it's like all night drinking and calling off work the next day, and it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, no, I get it, and that's why I preface it like that. I've got my whole family's been in Navy or Army in some sorts, except for us, So, yeah. So no, I totally get it.
Is there any way I can get another piss break?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could. Part of me is like I think we've gone through about all the questions.
I can tough it out for 5 more minutes.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna wrap up, or let me piss.
Oh no, you can go piss. Yeah, go piss.
Oh, right. Good. Oh. 7 down, 5 to go.
Hell yeah.
No, it's just odd timing. But today, sometimes Facebook will break your heart. Sometimes Facebook will be full of joy. Mm-hmm. Today, it gave me a memory of back when I was working at the nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
So I think about that. I just beat cancer. And I was trying to think of what I wanted to do. How could I pay back this gift? What could I do? And that was when COVID was just hitting the U.S. At this point, COVID was like some people in cruise ships in California, but they were worried about nursing homes. Nursing homes in California were getting hit. And I said, man, that's where I got to go. Mm-hmm. And I moved to a town where I didn't know anybody. I was still an active chemotherapy patient. Walking 2 miles to work at a nursing home just to try to be somebody's friend and try to be nice to somebody, at the end of their journey. That's the guy everybody on the internet hates. What were these people doing during COVID? Sitting in their basement getting a check on their mom's Wi-Fi, bitching about this or bitching about that, and I was fucking walking to work with a fucking cancer port, still installed in my chest. This is the guy they hate. why do I even consider myself with someone that hates me thinks when they don't even know me, you know?
Right. Yeah, like that. I saw that post. That was really nice and everything, you know. And also, I feel like it's something that just shows this other side of you that most wrestling fans probably don't even see. You were the milkshake man. That's what.
Well, that was Wednesday. Okay. That was Wednesday. and this is horrible that I would say this, but it's true. But you know, because I'm an active MLB TV subscriber, obviously. So with Dementia Ward, people say it was kind of like Groundhog Day. No, man, it was Groundhog Minute. Like you'd have the same conversation 20 or 30 times with the same person every day. So I would take my laptop in my backpack to work, and when it was somebody's birthday, like if they were a Pirates fan, you know, so the Pirates are terrible. So but because I'm a subscriber, I can go back to on demand, and I hook my laptop up to the TV in the day room, and I can show a game where the Pirates won. You know, so that lady might be happy. If we watch a live game, she might be disappointed because the Pirates are terrible. You know what I'm saying? But I could put on a game where I knew the Pirates won, and we'd all, you know, I'd contact the mess hall. Well, not mess hall, cafeteria. Mess hall is military term. You know, I get a hot dog brought to the Dementia Ward. We'd have hot dogs and ice cream, and like the only reason I even did that was like I wanted to be somebody's friend. I just wanted to make somebody happy. I thought my time was done. Turns out it wasn't. I still got something to do. And I still think I got something to do. You know, I gotta show people that it doesn't matter what happens to you, man. You know, somebody else might start out 4 or 5 spots ahead of you on the board. Somebody else might be ahead of you when the game starts. Man, you just got to keep playing the game and keep doing the work, and you'll get where you want to be. You're not in charge of where you start out at in life. No one is. But the one thing you are in charge of is when you quit. That's one thing you're for sure in charge of. And if you don't want to quit, you don't fucking have to quit. Forever. You can fight that fight forever, man. You don't gotta quit until you say it's time to quit. Whatever you're trying to do, whether it's, you know, relationships, emotional shit, mental shit, financial shit, you know, trying to get that job you want. The only person that can make you quit is you. If you don't quit, you can do whatever you want to do. You might not make it. You might not make that. But if you quit, you for sure ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, that's really, I like that. It's very motivational, you know. And that's one of the things I enjoy with seeing, like, your posts, you know, those posts on social media.
Muslim shit.
Yeah, exactly. Those types of posts in your social media is like that. You do have like a lot. Like I love the what is it? The you know. I'm the better me, you know, the me today kills the me yesterday, that kind of stuff, you know,
Yeah. You're in charge of when you quit. Nobody can make you quit. They can tell you you should. They can convince you to quit, but the only person that can make you quit is you.
Yep, it's so true.
So, I should fucking quit wrestling because a bunch of people that are functionally illiterate don't understand what I'm talking about. I didn't quit when I had cancer, man. I was down to 156 pounds, baby.
Right.
And even today in the gym, every day the first thing I do is weigh myself. Not because I'm trying to gain weight, not because I'm trying to lose weight, but just when I was sick, I'd think, at least I'm still above 240. At least I'm still above 220. At least I'm still above 180. You know, I got down to 156, and I just, my weight is a thing that, you know what I'm saying, I want to stay bigger. I some kind of stupid subconscious thing where if as long as I'm not losing weight, I think I'm healthy, I guess. I don't know.
No, that makes sense, yeah.
If I didn't give up on life, when I was, 156, using a walker to go piss. If I didn't give up then, if I didn't give up when I was in a fucking hospital for months where nobody spoke English, just not knowing what day I'm leaving, not knowing if I'm ever leaving, not knowing how my life's going to improve, and we're just totally, looking over all the personal things past my life. Like, if I'm not going to quit when all that shit happens to me, well, why the fuck would I quit when a bunch of nasty people say nasty things about me on the internet, for crying out loud?
Mm-hmm.
Why would that make me quit?
Right. Just out of curiosity, Sabu's passing away, and people speculating that his last match had a part in that. Like, what do you think?
That's I blame Janela for that. I blame Joey Janela for putting that post on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Had he not put that post, first of all, Kratom ain't shit. I don't even fuck with Kratom because I don't think it does anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been drinking for 50 fucking years.
Yeah.
But had Janela not put that tweet up, who would even be talking about it?
It's true.
I blame him for talking out of school. What happens in school stays in school. If he hadn't said that, why would that would never have gained traction.
Mm-hmm.
If that guy knew how to talk. That's who's on top right now, are those kind of guys that don't know nothing.
Yeah.
And that would never gain no steam if he hadn't said that in the first place. So the real bad guy is him. Now, I see now he's backtracked.
Yeah.
And he's defending Sabu. But if you had not said those things originally, nobody would be having this conversation. And imagine this, dude. Like, imagine living the life fucking Sabu did and thinking fucking Kratom took you out.
For reals.
I knew that guy. I had very that man. If you would ask me, like, who did you learn other than Black Bart, who was my trainer? If you were to name who were the two people you learned the most about what being a pro wrestler was, I would say Sabu and Jim Cornette. Those are the two guys outside of my trainers that taught me the most. Like, Sabu was the first veteran I worked with that, like, let me call anything, let me have any kind of input as to what we were doing, because it was like I referenced earlier with that Detroit promotion.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the top guys in that Detroit promotion when I went there. And I remember Sabu's family, his uncle, Captain Ed. Captain Ed was running shows, and Sabu did not want to work for him. And his family pressured him to work for his uncle, Captain Ed George.
Mm-hmm.
And Sabu said he would not wrestle anybody in the roster but me. So I drove 6 hours one way. I wrestled Sabu every single fucking show because he would not wrestle any of his uncle's guys. And the first time they paid me, I can't remember what they paid me, but I remember it was very insulting. It might have been like $40 or something, like 6-hour car ride one way and a match. They might have gave me 40. I'm not for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember Sabu asked me, he said, "How much did they pay you?" I said, "Oh, I'm good, sir. Don't worry about it. I'm fine." He said, "How much did they pay you? Tell me." And he said, "I got you into this shit." I said, "Okay." So I told him, and like from that day forward, every time I wrestled for that company, Sabu paid me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? He needed me because those guys were terrible. So like I didn't even come with the promoter anymore. I get my money from him because he didn't want to do the match. His family pressured him to wrestle. It was Sheik's son. So I guess it would be his cousin, not his uncle. I guess the Sheik was his uncle. Castaneda would be his cousin, I guess. You know, so every fucking weekend, I'd drive up there and wrestle 2 matches with Sabu every weekend. You know, but that guy, you know, I remember once I worked with him, and I just come out of Texas. I wasn't used to all this high flying stuff these guys did on the East Coast, and he did some kind of crazy ass dive over the ropes on me and shit. And I tried to cut him, or no, I tried to catch him. I ended up cutting his back with the razor blade on my finger. Oof. And we got to the back. I was like, oh my God, sir, I'm so sorry. I'm not used to guys. Texas, they don't do that shit. Texas guys, the guys don't fucking run and cut a flip and jump over the top rope at shit. Now they do. But back then, guys didn't go run the ropes and do a flip and fly at your ass. You know, I was trying not to kill him. I put a big slice on his back, and he pulled a straight razor out of his boot. He goes, I'm not pissed off at you, kid. If I'd have pissed off, if I was pissed off at you, I got this out. Yeah, Jesus. I just wrestled a guy with a fucking straight razor in his boot. Didn't even know it. You know, but like he taught me a lot about how to be a wrestler. Sabu and Jim Cornette are the guys that, other than my trainers, those are the guys I learned the most from.
That's far out. I wouldn't have guessed Cornette, but I also don't know. You know, your earlier stuff.
The deal with Jim Cornette is, man, like, he just really fucking loves wrestling. You know, like when we did that Ring of Honor stuff, he would sit and watch every single fucking match. And he would not go up to you after your match. But if you went to him, he would tell you everything that went wrong. He would tell you everything that went right. And everything that went wrong, he would tell you 2 or 3 things you could have did that could have fixed it. You just have to pay attention. Like, I see where he gets into it with some of these guys on the internet, but a lot of these guys have never met him. Much like me, they've never met him. And they haven't. I'll say this: every conversation I ever had with Jim Cornette in my life, every single one, I walked away from that conversation thinking I was a better wrestler. You know, I think I have to learn something right now. You know, he's real passionate. And like some of those guys on top now, he talks bad about. You know, I was there. He met some of those guys. You know, so the thing of it is, like, when he tells you something, just listen to him. Don't try to explain this, explain that. Just listen to the guy and you'll learn something. But some of those guys, they get all defensive about their decision-making process, and they have to, well, I did this because of that. I did this because of that. Like, no, man, listen to what the guy is saying. The guy gives a fuck about wrestling. Obviously, mine and his politics are not lined up. But when it comes to pro wrestling, I have enough sense to know that guy knows what he's talking about.
No, that's so true, and everything. I mean, yeah, it's just, you know, it's got that encyclopedia and all that stuff, or just like, you know, the library of all the wrestling books. It's like
everywhere he's worked, he hasn't just worked. He's been in the office somehow. Like, how are you? If he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, how does he keep getting these jobs where you know what I'm saying? The guy knows what he's doing. He just, sometimes he uses words or phrases that common people can't understand, much like myself. And rather than just trying to understand what he's talking about, oh, I don't understand what he's talking about, I'm offended. Well, man, look in the mirror. You're offended because you don't know what he's talking about, not because of what he said. But both those guys I have the utmost respect for and a tremendous amount of love for. Jim Cornette and Sabu.
For reals, totally. Yeah. Do you have a Sabu story and everything? You know, besides the straight razor, I feel like.
Well, I mean, like I say, we working every weekend, wrestling him every Friday, every Saturday for a few months, you know, and it wasn't just it wasn't just wrestling. See you later. There was always dinner afterwards. You know, we'd always go somewhere. You know, and I hear these stories. You hear stories about those ECW guys, you know, taking 20 and 30 somas. I've heard these stories, haven't you? Like, you know, those guys taking all these fucking pills.
Right.
You know, like, I read Kratom, took them out, really, Kratom. You know. But that's just how the internet is.
Yeah.
The internet gives voices to so many people who shouldn't have a voice. We're all stars as long as we have our bars. You know, we drive down the road. We drive down the road and our phone stops working for a couple miles. We fucking, oh God, no service. I know service. Why am I? I'm telling service. Why am I no service?
Right.
You know, and then it used to be you didn't know. You knew the town. I can remember driving, not knowing what the name of the building was. You'd drive to the town and hope you saw a fucking poster. Okay, let me go to some liquor stores. Let me go to some pawn shops, gas stations. Where would I see a wrestling poster? I'm gonna look around, hope I can find the fucking town. And now you can't go nowhere unless you got GPS. But same thing, we have to have bars so that we can become stars. We're the star of our own channel. You know, I was watching the Angels game, the third game against the Yankees. I guess it must have been yesterday. And there was like a fight in the crowd. And I was watching the video, and you couldn't hardly see the fight because you saw so many people holding their cameras up filming the fight. Like, honestly, do you ever like sit and watch videos on your phone ever?
Like,
post them.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't watch them like you relived that moment you filmed. Like, you're missing out on the experience because you're filming it. Like, everyone thinks they're like the star. It's that main character syndrome. Everyone thinks they're the star of their own channel, and everyone's watching. No, man, no one's watching it for you, baby.
No, I totally agree with that. I feel like as a video person, I am one of the people though who will look back and watch that stuff, but it's what I feel like.
Yeah, you're the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
I'm right most of the time. I ain't right all the time. So you're the exception to the rule. I understand statistics. I understand per capita. I understand how this stuff works. Just because you watch your videos on your phone, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It just means it doesn't happen for the majority of people.
Right. No, for reals. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like, especially if you see this stuff when, like, if you're, like, right behind them and you're looking and you see that what they have is all blurry or it's all shaky, it's just like, oh, you're not going to watch that later. And even if you did, how is anybody going to enjoy that?
And when, as an adult male, have you ever enjoyed looking at anything on anybody else's phone? Perhaps on your phone, what they filmed on your phone. Can you point to a time in your life when anyone, has passed you their phone and said, look at this, and you've enjoyed it?
Oh, man, I mean, you know, it's like, I feel like yes and no, basically, because I have an older brother, and he does that all the time, basically. So it's like in one way that it'll be like, No, because I mean, I don't want somebody. I want the things I know what I like, and I'll check that out.
Your algorithm.
Right. And stuff. I got. Yeah.
Somebody else's fucking algorithm.
Right.
That's not my algorithm. Get that shit out of here. It doesn't interest me.
Exactly, but I would say every now and then that's the trade-off to some degree, because once in a while he will show me something and it makes me laugh. It's like something he likes, I know, So I would say it's like that's the double-edged sword of it, because it's like, okay, like I can't, he's my brother, so of course I gotta like appease him sometimes,
He'll always be your brother.
Yeah. So it's like, in some cases it's just like, I can see the good of it in some degree too, because it's like, okay, if he wouldn't have shared that with me, then I wouldn't have known about it, or I wouldn't have seen that thing, even though it's not quite my thing. It's still like, this is why I do feel like, getting outside of your bubble is good sometimes in that way.
I guess if they send it to my phone, that's okay.
Yes.
Don't make me want to on your phone, because that's fucking awkward.
He does that, but I feel like at the same time, it's like, it is awkward, but, it's not always bad.
Then their tender notifications are going to pop up.
He might be one step ahead. He just has all the notifications blocked.
That's the internet expert right there. Right?
Yeah. I've never seen that, but I've never seen a notification pop up while he's showing me a video. But at the same time, mine show up.
I don't know. You can lower the trust a bit if they have the incognito mode on the browser or whatnot.
Right, exactly. He might have to ask him.
Why does that even exist? Why does that exist? Why does the incognito browser exist? It reeks of suspicion.
Right.
Can't trust anybody looking at their thing.
Right. No, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. At the same time, all that stuff is just like, I feel like it's only incognito for you, basically. It's not like no one can get a hold of it,
They know you were doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's in their imagination. That's the worst fucked up foul shit I can think of.
Right.
They're looking at.
Right. It's like, it's like a ski mask and stuff, It's just like, let me put on the ski mask before I go somewhere. Well, why are you going to put on a ski mask for?
You mentioned earlier, I'll tell you another thing about Sabu. Sabu was the first opponent I ever smoked a joint with for our match.
Wow.
First guy. Numerous since then. I remember he told me, he's like, we get caught blaming on me. I said, what do you mean? Because I'm the senior guy. They can't fire me. They'll fire you, but they can't fire me. So we get caught blaming on me. like that's the kind of human being that he was. You know what I'm saying? If we get caught blaming on me, they can't fire me. but the guy, and you hear stories about some of these guys, like Sabu or Abdullah or New Jack, or you hear these stories about these guys, and my own personal memories are great. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm a nobody. I'm not running my own shows nowhere. I don't have a bunch of money in the bank. Never did. If somebody is nice to me, they must be a nice person. And that is how I go through my life. Mm-hmm. I've seen some of these guys lose their temper on people. And maybe even for a second or two, I thought they were losing their temper on me. But they really weren't. Mm-hmm. And I don't judge people on what I've heard. I judge people how they treat me. And all those guys have always treated me great.
Totally. No, I could totally see that. Same to some degree. I haven't had experiences with them, but I think it's good to look at people's redeemable qualities. Stuff people are. I think all times pretty much. It's just like everybody has bad days, basically. Yeah, so I feel like
that's the best you got on me is Kevin Brannon's Facebook.
that was the first one I could think of.
Hanging fruit. We're gonna work Kevin Brannon in a couple weeks.
Right, was that the?
I have a match with Mickey for crying out loud. Not exactly Grandma Butcher, but similar situation. I have to go out there. Have you seen some of the names that are on that show? Have you seen that card?
I don't think so. I think only your flyer is the only one I've seen.
Oh, Mike Jackson's there. Mr. Hughes.
Oh.
Chick Donovan. Chick Donovan. I think Ricky Morton's wrestling somebody.
Yeah.
Tommy Dreamer. And they got me versus Nikki. That is, I think the second week of July. I think that is down there in Sycamore, Alabama. 2 hours from the airport.
Right. Oh, I see it now. I was mixing it up with another one. Yeah, this is the one with gosh, is it? I want to say Buff Bagwell. Is this the same one, Buff Bagwell?
Yeah. Buff's there. And what an underrated hype man he was for Scott Steiner.
I know. Right. Yeah, it's unfortunate the way that, things went for him, but I also feel like at the same time he seems like he's doing alright. Yeah.
I don't need to feel sorry for those guys. They all did very well for themselves.
Right, he seems to be doing okay now.
He has like a reality show or a webisodes or something with his grandkids I saw or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I hadn't seen that, but, it's just, it's been a while since I've heard anything about him. He looks a lot better than the last time I came up somewhere.
Well, having a good support system, I think.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. You got people around you, you're going to do okay. You're out there on your own.
Right, it's a lot harsher. What else is like? Oh yeah, the body's gonna be there as well. Your old opponent.
Yeah, I saw that guy had a manage.
Yeah.
I remember I worked with him out there in LA, and he had like this trash can or a shopping cart.
Yep.
And I said, brother, you can leave all that shit back here. I was like, we're not doing none of that shit. I don't know how old I was then. I'm guessing I was 50 back then. But the last thing I'd do is to catch some goddamn STD in a wrestling match at age fucking 50. No one's gonna believe me. No one's gonna believe me. I made it this long without any STDs. Like, tonight's not tonight. Leave all that shit back here. I didn't say all that. My friend knew why I said that. He'll believe me why I said that.
Wow.
No, we're not trying to get down, get funky with all that shit. No.
Oh, for reals. Yeah. What's your wrestling goal for 2025?
100% I want to get back to Japan, bro.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. The last time I was in Corrigan Hall, I was in a wheelchair. And they had a deal at intermission where the fans would pay $20 to come take a picture with me in my wheelchair up against the ring.
Wow.
Freebird's like a long song. Freebird's like 6 minutes. But they had to play Freebird twice during intermission to let all these fans in line to come take pictures of me. And I really no doubt about it. My number one goal, not just in wrestling, but my number one goal in life is to get back to Japan and show those fans at Corrigan Hall that broken old man in that wheelchair they saw 1 year ago. That's not me. I've been working hard, baby. You know, I'm in the gym 6 nights a week. Working hard. I'm taking protein powder. I'm taking creatine. I'm fucking taking methylene blue for crying out loud. I'm trying to get in shape, and I'm working hard. And I just want to show those people that that's not the last they're ever gonna see of me. And maybe I don't make it. Maybe I'll never make it back to Japan. But that don't mean I'm gonna quit trying. Just like I said, the only person in charge of when I quit is me. I'm gonna get up every day and I'm gonna fight. You know, today I had a good workout. I started out with 161 push-ups on my knuckles. That's how I started my day out.
Wow.
And I did 161 squats. And then I went to the gym. And then tomorrow I'll do tomorrow's lower body, but I'll still do 161 push-ups and 161 squats. And on June 1st I'll go to 171 push-ups, 171 squats. But I just want to be 1% better than I was yesterday. And if I never make it back to Japan, well, so what? But that don't mean I'm gonna stop trying. I've overcome things in the past, and I'll overcome this, or I'll just fight forever or never overcome, but I'm still going to fight, because that's the key. Just got to fight forever, baby, fight forever. Oh, shit, I'm on beer number 10, brother. Beer number 10. I thought you were going to send me a 6-pack.
Oh, yeah, you know, I just figured,
whenever you talk.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
you put it on yourself and you won.
Right.
So I was going to cut you off when the 6-pack was done. But here comes a 12, because that's why I opened the first beer when you answered.
Right.
So I figured, okay, now you're clocking in. Now you'll get my time.
Yeah.
Your beer be run out.
Yeah.
You up the ante a bit, sir. Up to the ante and got a 12-pack. Well, I'm on number 10, so screw you.
I figured you might be like, oh, you know what? All right, like 6, your 6 is done, and enjoy the rest later.
That's what I planned on. I'm not lying. I totally planned on that. Because I'll open that first one. When he says hello. He says hello. Open that first one. Or number 6. Because I figure I can hold my piss for 6 beers.
Right.
Alright, 12, here we go, 12 of them. Alright, fair enough.
Yeah, I figured it'd be like a pleasant surprise.
I'm on a schedule, man. Like, I typically stay up till 5.
Wow.
Well, I work second shift. So I try to keep what I do is, I go to bed at 5 every night. Then I get up at 1:30. I drink mushroom coffee. You ever heard of that shit? Yeah, I drink mushroom coffee every morning, and then I drink pre-workout, and then I'll knock out whatever number of push-ups I'm on or squats, which right now is 161, which is not crazy. It's just 10 sets of 16, and then the last one is 17 to psych myself up for, you know what I'm saying? So I'll knock out my push-ups, knock out my sit-ups, and then I don't do sit-ups, I do squats. And then I'll go to the gym, then I go to work. I go to work every day at 4. And I work 4 to close, which is either 10 or 11. And then I come home and stay up and just, smoke weed and play MLB 17 until 5 in the morning. And then I just do it all over again. But today's my last night of freedom. I go back to work tomorrow at 4.
Are you still working at the same nursing home that you were working before?
Oh, no way, man. Like, here's more craziness. I only worked there for 1 year.
Wow.
And then, like you saw, like some of the people like messaged me there, some of the people I used to work with. And I never had any issues with the residents. Because they're crazy, who cares? But I had a lot of difficulty with the staff. And especially, like when the COVID vaccine came out. Obviously, I'm no medical doctor. I can't tell you what the side effects of the vaccine are without a doubt. One side effect I can tell you is very real. It made the people that got the shot hate the people that didn't get the shot. Because we had a lot more testing, you know, and I never got the shot. But the people that did get it would always bitch about why are we getting tested? Why are we getting tested? It's all those people's fault. Why are we getting tested? You know, and I put up with that shit every day, and I was strong enough to think that I was doing what the Lord wanted me to do. Because look at every warfare, every war in mankind's history. Every side thinks God's on their side. You know, so if a guy thinks he's doing what the Lord wants him to do, you're not going to talk him about it unless you kill him. You know. So I thought I was doing what God wanted me to do, so I just would soldier on. And I started dating somebody at work, and she got the shot, and I didn't. And it just led to... Granted, I was in like a vulnerable emotional state, having just beat cancer and whatnot. But like I put a lot more... I thought the relationship was a lot more important than what it was. And it was just kind of a one-dimensional relationship as far as she was concerned. And like the shot really drove a wedge in between us. And I wasn't, and previously to beginning the relationship with her, I was convinced that I was doing what God wanted me to do. So it didn't bother me that everybody at work gave me a hard time about not getting the shot. But when things got fucked up with her, I just wasn't strong enough to deal with all the abuse I was taking every day. And like, some nurse just like started bitching at me and shit. And I said, I'm just gonna clock out and go home. And she said, what? I said, I'm just gonna clock out and I'm gonna go home. And that's what I did. And it was like a 2-mile walk each way. And there was a Wendy's. There was a Wendy's on the way home. And the Wendy's had a sign, now hiring. And I thought, fuck man, they have a sign. That must mean they're desperate. But I just walked in there in my scrubs and shit. I just walked in there in my scrubs. And I ended up working at Wendy's for 3 fucking years.
Wow.
And get this, man, if I hadn't walked in at Wendy's, I would have never have gotten back into wrestling. Because Wendy's gave me Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. So all of a sudden my weekends were open. And I thought to myself, well, what if? What if I give this shit a try? But that wrestling had never even crossed my mind when I was working at the nursing home.
Wow.
I was doing the Lord's work. Why would I give a fuck about what I wanted?
Yep.
Fighting with the girl I was dating. Fighting with the girl I was dating. Quit the fucking job. Wendy's, and the weekends are off. And here we are talking on the phone.
That's wild. Wow. You know, I mean, you know, for sure I could see, you know, that could be a catalyst to things with you know, the vaccine and all that stuff. Like, yeah. I don't know. You know, there's a culture war in a lot of things ingrained in our society, and that was one that was just put upon all of us as civilians that we had to, you know.
Man, like, I don't know what did what. We can read this, we can read that, but it for sure made the people that got it hate the people that didn't get it.
Right.
And that's a fact.
Right.
And maybe if my life had played out a different way, maybe I would have got it. But just the fact that I was on chemo at the time, and the doctor told me not to get the fucking flu shot, I thought, well, shit, well, if I shouldn't get the fucking flu shot, I sure as fuck better not get this goddamn shot.
Right.
That's just where I was at in life.
Mm-hmm.
I understand everybody's in different spots, and like, you know, you're trying to, you know, the thing with the girl I was dating was, her daughter got pregnant, and her daughter had a baby, and like the hospital said you couldn't come see the baby unless you were vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
So she got the vaccine simply to go see her granddaughter. And like you're facing all that stress at work. You know, so it just... And then eventually, as time progressed, I got to the point where I said, you know what? Fuck this. I don't care if the goddamn vaccine gives you fucking superpowers. I ain't getting it out of spite. And that's where I'm at now. The shit can give you goddamn X-ray vision, super strength. I wouldn't care because that's where my personal journey took me, and I think it should be everyone's personal decision as to what kind of chemicals, much like this can of Modelo, it should be everyone's personal decision as to what kind of chemicals, in what form, you put in your body. Don't tell me I have to do this, or don't tell me I have to do that. That's not the kind of country I'm going to live in.
Mm-hmm. Right, no, for sure, and everything. Yeah, you know, I see both sides of it for sure. I mean, I'm vaccinated, all that stuff, but it's like...
If you have to, that's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it.
Right.
But you should leave it up to that person.
Yeah. I do see, like, the, you know, like, the conflict, you know, because it's just like, you know, we had to fire, like, over here, basically, like, in LA, like, we had to fire firefighters and police officers and people because they wouldn't get it, and then, you know, now it's not mandatory anymore, you know.
Especially working at a nursing home, we were heroes when there wasn't no vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There was one, now we're criminals, now we're killing grandma. I said, let everybody leave it up to themselves. Why can't we make our own decision? You know, like I said, I was battling cancer. I was on chemo. The doctor said, don't get a flu shot. It might kill you. Well, fuck it. Flu shot. I mean, what the fuck will this goddamn thing do? I'm not doing it.
Right.
Like, I'm just trying to stay alive too, baby.
No, totally. Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's like, yeah. I mean, it's like, it's one of those, you know, even though I'm vaccinated, it's like, I see both sides of it, I get it, you know.
How pressured were you to make that decision?
You know,
you're hesitating.
Yeah, because I'm, like, trying to think about, like, if there was pressure to get it, basically, like, you know, because if you know, if we're talking about personal choice, like, it's just like it was my personal. I felt like it was my personal choice, like, to get it. Like, I wanted to get it.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but then if we talk about like all the up boosts that happen afterwards, then I would say like to some degree it's like I didn't want to do. I'm like fully caught up in all that stuff, but I didn't like rush to go do all the other ones. I would say just because
it should be everybody's individual choice.
Yeah.
No one should be able to tell nobody what they have to do and what they don't have to do. Because if the vaccine works, any vaccine, measles, COVID, chickenpox, well, ain't no chickenpox, but anything, mumps, if it works, what do you have to worry about? If it works, why do you care about what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work, if you're worried about me, not me, but me as in someone who didn't get it. If you're worried about the ones that didn't get it, that means it doesn't work. If it protects you, it protects you.
Yeah.
If you're worried about, well, I need this shot to protect me from the people who didn't get the shot. What? Follow the logic for a minute. And I'm not trying to bust your balls or get on top of you. It's not a me versus you thing, just trying to clarify my position.
Right.
Like I said, man, if my story had been a bit different, maybe I would feel differently about it. But for me, like here's where I was at. Here's what I was doing. I was working in a nursing home, and like in a dementia ward, we had a grand total of one person, resident-wise, not staff-wise. We had one dude who wasn't vaccinated. And I saw people fucking popping positive, bam, 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 and they're vaccinated. I thought, well, what the fuck? And again, I just beat cancer. So, like, my story, I'm not saying my story fits for everybody, but my story fits for me, and your story fits for you. And that's the way it should be.
Right. Yeah, that's like, I definitely, I'm all for the, personal choice, all that kind of stuff, and, but I do feel like that's where, like, my mixed feelings come from. It's like, because, like, I do feel like, in one way, like, we were, like, we all as individuals, as citizens, all that stuff, we were pressured in a way to tell other people, hey, if you don't do this, you're a bad person, basically. Then I feel like when things mellowed out and all that went away, now we all look dumb and bad, basically, because it's all kind of chilled out in that sense. It's just like, okay, but what was all this for?
They're gonna do it again, bro.
Yeah.
They're gonna do it again.
Right. The one.
Because they can.
Yeah. The one thing that's different from my story, though, is like that. I have I like an aunt and uncle in the medical field who told us to get it. So that was initially like in some ways where it's like, oh,
you're
well, like,
not in the medical field. So what are you gonna do? You gonna argue with somebody
who knows what all this stuff is?
Yeah. No. I don't judge nobody doing what they had to do for themselves, but I'm saying don't judge me for doing what I had to do for myself. And like I said, my cancer doctor, my oncologist, said don't get the fucking flu shot. So to me, I had to wear like this little auto robot injector thing on days after chemo to like give me random injections to improve my white blood cell count. And he said, I was not even supposed to go to have any kind of job or be around people, to be honest. But, I thought I needed to do what I needed to do, so no flu shot. Why the fuck should I get this fucking experimental shit?
Right.
But that's my journey. That's not your journey. That's not your neighbor's journey. That's our individual journey. Everybody's journey is different. like I said, with the girl I was dating, she had to get the shot or she couldn't see her grandkid.
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck's not going to get the fucking shot?
Right.
You can't see your grandchild unless you get this shot.
Yeah.
So we started squabbling, and then again, look at how it worked out. Me and her started squabbling. I fucking quit. I got a fucking job at Wendy's. My weekends are open. I went to Japan 3 more times since then.
Mm-hmm.
So who am I to... This is what God had written in His book for me to do. Why should I complain? It sucks to be alone. It sucks I'm not with her.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have been with her anyway. I'd been something else probably,
Right.
I'm just a man.
Yeah. Aren't we all? So let's see. You had that Crimson Crown event coming up too in July. Yeah. Do you have an opponent yet? No one's even...
I know, but I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I was just curious. I was like, if it was just an appearance or if it was...
Oh, no, it should be a good match.
Okay, cool.
I was given a list of people. I picked one of the names they gave me.
Okay.
It was the best name. I couldn't have picked a better opponent.
Sweet.
Are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there for sure.
Shit, we got to drink a beer, bro.
Yeah, most definitely. I was like, if we didn't end up doing the interview, whatever happened, basically, I was just gonna be like, you know what? I'm still gonna be there. I'm gonna bring a 6-pack.
I get into town the night before. No. It's a Friday, ain't it?
I think so. Yeah.
No, I get into town that night. I come right there. I'm going to an Angels game on the next day.
Dang.
I'm going with the Hillbilly.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we're going to the Angels game. It's Saturday night is a fireworks night. It's throwback long sleeve T-shirt night. It's against the Diamondbacks.
Nice.
So me and my little fat buddy are going to go watch the Angels and the Diamondbacks the next night.
Should be.
We'll be drinking there. We'll be drinking there at the arena until they kick us out. That's how we do it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, those, what is it, those stadium beers, they cost a pretty penny.
Well, Anaheim's pretty cheap.
Okay.
The most expensive is the Giants, actually.
For sure.
The last time I looked, the Giants beers were $27.
Dang. Yeah. It's $1 per ounce.
The most expensive I've actually paid for, Yankee Stadium was $21.
Wow.
And I bought one just to say I drank a fucking beer at Yankee Stadium. And this was maybe 10 years ago, so it might be more now.
Yeah.
Supposedly Anaheim, as far as it being in California, but everyone always shits on the owner, Artie Moreno, and when people defend Artie, he lowered beer prices. That's always one of the ones they always say to defend him. Supposedly, it's not as bad as the Dodgers. Supposedly, right. The Padres or I don't know what the hell the Sacramento A's. I don't know what their concession stands are in that minor league ballpark they have down there in Sacramento.
Oh, yeah, me either. I've gone to Padres, gone to Angels, gone to Dodger Stadium. The
Padres are the biggest fuck you to MLB. That's a small market.
Yeah.
But they're contenders.
Yeah.
You can't. It sucks. They're in the same division as the Dodgers.
Right.
When do the Dodgers ever run away with it?
It's been a while, yeah. I mean, they had the
fucking Padres.
Yeah, I was gonna say they had the World Series like, gosh, it was a few years ago, but it was like they had one not too long ago. But other than that,
and the Padres manager used to be the Cardinals manager when I was a Cardinals fan.
Really, small world.
Larry Kim was part of the reason I got pissed off at the goddamn Cardinals.
But like, rather than go to the Padres, you're like, you know what? The Angels. That seems to be more my level.
Well, what are you doing something that Saturday?
Not that I know of. You know, I might be working. Who knows?
I might have 2 more tickets in my back pocket.
Hey, I'd be up for it. You know.
Let's stay in contact.
Yeah.
Because I bought 8 tickets.
Holy smokes.
When I like to do something, I like to invite all my friends and and then we'll it's the wrestling show's on Friday.
Mhm.
But I don't like to just go out there and come back.
Right. No, for sure.
You think you let me have their piss break?
Another one? I think we probably should.
Even if you just say goodbye to me when I get back, that's okay.
Okay.
I'm drinking those beers. I for sure got to piss.
Go for it. Okay, go for it.
Give me a minute. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have 1.5 beers left.
Nice.
I was expecting a 6-pack.
Right.
I was going to cut you off after 6, but you got a beer and a half, so let me fire your hardest artillery at me. Let me have the big ones. That upset me.
Right. I think
see what you want about the Angels game. I could easily throw 2 tickets at you, easily. They got to see with me and all my friends, though, so that might be, I don't know, tell you.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah, I'd be down and all that stuff. We'll see, because I'm trying to get like a steady job and all that stuff. So but at the same time, I'm like definitely open to the opportunity. All right, let's see what's left here. But part of me is like, see, all the hard ones, I did all the hard ones earlier, but so
it was easy.
So it was just the easy ones. Favorite band?
Oh, it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. I mean, I like the Allman Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I like ZZ Top.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Temptations.
Nice.
I like Waylon Jennings. I guess it depends on what kind of mood I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in a party mode, I like party music. If I'm in a sad. It just depends.
Great. So let's see. Person you'd like to meet. Anybody.
Well, what would I do with this person once I met them?
Could be whoever, past or present,
Would I be drinking beer with this person? Would I be watching a baseball game?
Yeah.
You'd have to give me a little bit more background context. Who would I most like to do this with? Got it.
I guess who'd you like to meet, like probably hero-wise. I think hero-wise.
Well, can it be somebody I already met?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
My dad was murdered when I was 12.
Wow.
I really like to talk to my dad as an adult.
Right. No, for
I would
sure.
really like to know, because you don't know how somebody feels about various issues when you're a kid. I would like to talk to my dad. That's who I would like to talk to.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a good one. Yeah, and stuff.
But I it wouldn't be somebody I didn't met. If I had to pick somebody, if I had to pick somebody, I didn't. I've met some really cool people. Oh man.
Yeah, I feel like that's tough. I mean, you've been all over the place, met so many people.
Somebody I've never. I guess I would pick Boozer Brody.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I had a horribly uncomfortable hour and a half long taxi cab ride with Sam Hansen. When I was super fucking drunk.
Wow.
And he kept asking me questions. And I thought, man, I wish I wasn't so goddamn drunk. I wish I could talk to this guy, but all I'm going to do is get this conversation over with because I'm so fucking drunk.
That's hilarious.
I shared a cab ride with him. Or maybe I can meet Stan Hansen when I wasn't drunk.
Right.
But that would fall into the category of somebody I've already met.
Right,
and
yeah.
I'm picking my dad again. So I guess I'll pick Bruiser Brody.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. Alright, let's see. Favorite athlete?
The baseball player Ken Phelps.
Okay.
What do you know about Ken Phelps?
Jeez, not much.
Why would you? Nobody does. Okay. Ken Phelps was a first baseman in the 80s. I think his last year maybe was 1990. But he was a first baseman, and he was always whatever organization he was with always had a really good first baseman. For a number of years, Ken Phelps held the MLB record for home runs to at-bats ratio. Like, it was almost as if he really could have put up some productive numbers had he been given a chance. But he was like one of the greatest MLB players of all time that never got a chance. And to this date, I've wished I see my friends with their very professional sounding email addresses, with their job title and their name and whatnot, and their email address. But from the first time I ever signed on to the internet until the day I'm dead, my email address has always been kenphelpsfan@gmail.com. and there was some nonsense. His name was brought up a few times on Seinfeld, and people thought I was talking about Ken Phelps' duties. No, man, you don't know the beauty of Ken Phelps. Like the home runs to at bat ratio, damn it. Home runs to at bat ratio, second only to Mark McGwire. But if it only got a chance, but he never got a chance. I love Ken Phelps. My favorite athlete for sure, Ken Phelps.
That's dope. Yeah.
I've never changed my email address. I've wanted to. People they send me these emails and I have to reply to them. I said, it's their name at such and such corporation.com. Man, my email's like a stupid thing with my favorite baseball player. But I'm subscribed to all these mailing lists, and it'd be a big pain in the ass to unsubscribe and resubscribe with a different email address. So,
right.
PhelpsFan@gmail.com it is.
Diehard Ken Phelps fan.
Yeah, yes.
Favorite TV show?
Either Seinfeld or Game of Thrones.
Okay. Yeah. I like it.
And the Game of Thrones is a crazy story right there, because one I don't remember the year, but I was wrestling out in Los Angeles, and oftentimes I'm the more intoxicated person of the match. Mm-hmm. But this time I was wrestling Balls Mahoney. And
wow.
Balls Mahoney was laying on his belly on the locker room floor, and he was snorting lines of methadone off the floor, drinking a bottle of Jack Daniels, warm Jack Daniels, chugging a bottle of warm Jack Daniels, and reading a book. And I thought to myself, whatever the fuck that book is, I gotta get that book in my life. And it was Storm of Swords, which I think was the second Game of Thrones book.
Okay.
So after that match, I started reading Game of Thrones. And there for a while, I was the head of the TV show, because I was reading the books.
Right.
But Balls Mahoney turned me on to Game of Thrones inadvertently. I'm good on the Jack Daniels, and I'm good on the methadone. That guy's reading a book, doing all that shit. Man, I gotta get that fucking book in my life right now.
Oh man,
it was Storm of Swords.
That's a good takeaway from all that was going on there. It was just like the book. I want the book.
Yeah. If that can hold his fucking imagination, well, he's doing all those other substances.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the book I need in my life right now.
Jeez.
Storm of Swords.
Favorite actor or actress, or both?
Yeah, but they're all fake. I don't know. That's a tough one. Actor, granted, I'm not like today's wrestling fan who talks about their politics.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to pick an actor, I would pick Antonio Banderas.
Okay. Yep.
One of my favorite movies is 13th Warrior. I also like, what was the one, where is it, Mexico?
Oh, Desperado?
I think there was maybe two of them, but that might have been one of them, yeah.
Right.
But was it mariachi? But was he a mariachi?
He was, yeah. It's like, the original was like El Mariachi. I don't think Banderas was in that one. Then they did Desperado. That's when Banderas came in. Then they did Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I think that.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was Puss in Boots.
And then,
I enjoyed his role as Puss in Boots. That was Antonio Banderas. For actress? Oh, I know she's a big fucking liberal, but I'd say maybe Janine Garofalo, maybe, for favorite actress.
Yeah.
Because I know she's smart.
Yeah.
She's not smart, but she is smart. So maybe her, maybe for actress.
Sweet. Favorite movie?
Well, I previously mentioned 13th Warrior.
Okay.
So I'd put that up there. That is maybe my third best.
Mm-hmm.
For second best, I'd pick Rocky,
Mm-hmm.
the original Rocky. For my favorite movie, and maybe I'll use this as my time to plug a movie for people to go watch, including yourself. The Shootist, starring John Wayne. It was John Wayne's last movie. And when you watch the movie, realizing that during filming, John Wayne himself was rotting away with cancer, it makes the movie like that much more of an experience.
Wow.
But The Shootist with John Wayne.
Very cool. Well, that I'll look up and check out.
Please do.
Yeah.
And I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a 3-hour-long phone call like this. And a couple of brief lines via instant messenger.
Totally.
Tell me your thoughts on The Shootist.
Sweet. I'll put that down. Let's see. And let's see. Favorite cartoon?
I'm finishing up beer number 11.
Alright. Okay.
Cartoon. Well, I mean, I like all the classics. I like South Park. I like The Simpsons. I like American Dad. I like Family Guy. If I had to pick, if I want to pick something that's going to make people watch it, Adventure Time.
Ah, okay.
I'd pick Adventure Time. Not so much as The Shootist. Adventure Time's pretty solid.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay. Adventure Time's good. Yeah, I dig that show. Let's see. Favorite.
Business, zombies, business. Yeah, that's all good. The princesses and whatnot, and that the Ice King.
Oh yeah, he's hilarious.
I know. I really like Archer a lot too.
Okay.
I love Archer.
Yeah, Archer.
Crack open beer number 12, brother.
Nice.
I was gonna cut you off with the 6-pack. You had to go and upstage me.
Alright.
Number 12, baby.
Yeah,
Number 12.
we're getting close now. Let's see. Favorite food?
You better make them count. Food?
Yeah, favorite food.
I'm an ocean meat guy.
Okay. Seafoods.
And that's one of the many reasons I'm so in love with Japan. because they're an island, so the ocean is all around them. They're always eating various organisms from the ocean. But I mean, if there was, if a maxi pad were to wash up in the ocean, I would eat it. I'm all about that ocean meat. Because the thing of it is, those creatures in the ocean, they would eat you if they could. Like, a cow doesn't want to eat you. You know, a pig or a sheep, they may be delicious, but they don't want to consume you.
Right.
You enter the water to do a little breaststroke action, a little doggy paddle, and those creatures are all thinking about eating you, or fleeing from you, because they think you're going to eat them. But I will eat anything. Imagine if fish could scream. What would the ocean sound like if fish could scream? Anything in the ocean, I want to eat it.
Right. No, that makes sense and stuff. It's like, yeah. Wait, so you said ocean food though, but like, is that so mainly the ones that eat you? Like, so like whale or just in general, just ocean?
Raw whale, dude. It don't taste like fish.
No, it doesn't. I've tried it, yeah.
Raw whale tastes like, and I'm not saying it's good. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. But I'm not saying it's good. It don't taste like no other kind of fish. I've never ate dolphin before. I've never ate dolphin, but I have ate whale. And I would compare whale, I'd compare it to horse. Like it didn't taste like nothing I'd ever eaten before. It sure as hell didn't taste like no damn fish.
It's gamey. Was it gamey? Like how some of that. Like I definitely remember. I've tried it before, and I remember it being more chewy.
Sushi or sashimi. Mm-hmm. My bad. It was sashimi. I mean, it was like a lot of. It was very red. Mm-hmm. And it didn't taste like tuna. I didn't think I was eating a fish.
Right.
It tasted kind of like horse. That's what it tasted like.
That's so nuts. Let's see. Where did you have? Is that in Japan then that you tried it? I'm just curious where they serve.
Gojira.
Okay.
Kojira. Because Godzilla is Gojira. Mm-hmm. Gojira. So Godzilla is Gojira. A whale is Kojira. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the weird shit I've ate has been, well, weird for us. But yeah, Japan or Mexico.
Right.
Very, very weird, things to eat.
Yeah. Have you ever had shark fin? You ever had,
I did, but it really didn't make any kind of impression on me like the whale.
Yeah.
Like, the whale bothered me. Like, it wasn't, like a horse or a cow. Mm-hmm. Something was off. It wasn't like seafood.
Right.
But, yeah.
Alright, let's see.
But I mean, hey, if somebody's taking you out to dinner, and they're paying for everything, and they're ordering everything, like, what kind of bastard would you be? Oh, you're getting this for me? I refuse. Oh, you're ordering this for me? I don't want it. It's not like I went into some goddamn Japanese place. Hey, give us oil.
Right.
Hey, the horse. Hey, give me this, give me that. You know, it's like the mafia or somebody's taking you out. You know, and you're not gonna. It's not because they're the mafia you're saying no. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say no to anybody being nice enough to take me out to eat. You know, if you're taking me out to eat, and you're paying for it, and you're inviting me, hey man, we're eating what you want to eat because this is your night. Yeah. I don't put myself out there like that.
Did you run into any like cultural things like that in Japan? You know, like essentially, you know, like
one thing now is different now. 20 years ago, when I first started going to Japan. See, the thing is, if you're wrestling somewhere far away, depending on where the next town is, you might not go to a hotel. Mm-hmm. You might wrestle in a bunch of glass and shit, and then get on the bus and go 10 hours to the next town. There might not be no hotel.
Wow.
You know, so a lot of on the highway, the rest stops will have like bathhouses. You know, so okay, do I want to get naked in front of a bunch of other dudes? Not really. Or do I want to have glass in my back for a bunch of hours? For sure not. So you have to prioritize your values.
Wow.
You know? So you'll be on these trips, and a lot of times in the country towns, not so much anymore. Years ago, back when I only had one tattoo, but they'd want you to wrap towels or cover your tattoos up with towels. Mm-hmm. Because people in those country towns, not Tokyo obviously, little country ass towns, that see your tattoos and think you were a criminal. Because back then, when I first started going to Japan, that's who had tattoos. Mm-hmm. And you know what the most popular Yakuza tattoo is?
What is it?
Butterfly.
Wow.
What's the second most popular Yakuza tattoo?
I would just assume a dragon.
Close. A koi.
Oh, okay.
The carp for those goldfish things?
Yeah.
Yeah, both butterfly and koi. So, like you see a dude with like some butterfly shit, some koi shit, like give that dude some space.
You see, at some point I thought this was gonna lead, because I assume the pot leaf tattoo was like your earliest one, and so like there's a part of me.
That was my second tattoo.
Okay.
So when I first started going to Japan, I had a whopping one tattoo. Yeah, the pot leaf tattoo was my second tattoo. But when I first started going to Japan, I just had the one gimmick. Like the thorns and shit on my left bicep, that's all I had. And that's when I'd have to wrap it up in a towel so people in the bathhouse didn't see it.
And then like, you know, you just, I mean, you know, do they even have showers in the bathhouses? It's like, you're just covered in glass and everything in your hair or your back and all that stuff?
No, first of all, it's separated. Now this is, in America, is what we would think of as a rest stop. Mm-hmm. Like you're on a big major highway, and like here's an exit off the highway, not a town, but like a little shopping area off the highway, and you can get some food, or you can get cleaned up, you know, and it'd be divided. Men or women, it'd be divided. Mm-hmm. Like the first area you'd be in would be like a street shower. So you'd wash off, and then like the next area you would proceed into would be like a sit-down hot bath. So you go in the shower to wash off, and then you go to an area to sit-down bath. There'd be separate areas. So you wouldn't be like all glassed up in the bath.
Mm-hmm.
You clean up in the shower, you sit down in your bath area, then you get up and dry off and leave.
Wow, yeah, nope, so like, it's not as like, yeah, it's not like the same like it is over here with the truck stop showers or whatever.
No, very communal.
Yeah.
Yeah, very communal.
So then if that's the case, then like, are you like having to pick off glass in front of people essentially? Like,
well, I mean, I've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
So I don't think about it.
Okay. Yeah. Did you ever get it like any?
You're one half of a beer, sir.
Good.
Half a beer.
Because you're letting me know. Yeah, because like that's where I'm like, is did you ever? Because this probably has happened before. You're going from one place to another. You're covered in blood, or you just go somewhere right after your match and maybe not get a chance to wash up. Do you ever get like really awkward interactions and stuff like that with anybody? Here or Japan?
I mean, not really, because I've been doing it for so long. Like I can figure out what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, like with the bathhouses and whatnot. You know, you just figure out what you need to do, and that's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, honestly.
Are you gonna edit all this stuff and send me a link, or what are you gonna I advertise this myself?
Yeah, no, I haven't really decided yet. I thought of, just kind of, I think I'm probably just gonna check back with you tomorrow, because like I could just like take the audio and just do something with the audio, or I could take the time and go and transcribe it all, put it all in text, basically, so that they get an article for their site, But that's what I wanted to see. Okay, because I know with it's like one of those, one might be.
Well, I want to help you promote it and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, it's like tough because one might be easier than the other, but also like one might be nicer, like for people to sort of.
It's like, let me know what you're doing so I can help out a little bit.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I'll for sure. Once I get it sorted out, I'll send you a link to it and all that stuff. Definitely think that people, are gonna want to read it and stuff like that, or hear it.
Answer all the hate mail you're gonna get.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, basically.
I am too.
I can't, it's just from a lot of what you said, it's just like, I can't control what people are going to say about me, so it's like,
and most of them can't even read. Like, you hear these reports about, well, so many percentage of the population can't read and all this shit, well, like, okay, so why am I worried about, I can't do anything about it?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's probably, that's what I'll probably do, might just listen to it first, and then just make some choices then.
Make sure to send it to me so I can share it.
Yeah, for sure, and stuff, yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like we're winding down and all that stuff, so, yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me and all that.
Did you pay the price I requested? Maybe we'll have a beer on here in July, maybe?
Yeah. Hey, I'd be down for it.
Let me know what's going on. If you want, maybe I might have one or two Angels tickets I can throw at you.
Yeah.
Let me know what's going on.
Yeah, that'd be dope, Yeah, for sure. We'll be in touch.
Okay. Well, thanks for getting me a buzz tonight, dude.
For sure. Thanks for the stories, all that stuff. Yeah, take care, man.
All right, later, buddy.
Yeah, talk to you later. All right, bye.